Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Tesla Club India podcast. Joining with me, Akhil Krishnan from Zeon Charging. We are hosting AMA with Zeon today, and you are free to ask any question related to EV infra, or if you have for Zeon any question or feedback, feel free. Welcome, Akhil.
Thanks, Nikhil. Hello, everyone. Akhil here from Zeon. Happy to answer and have a discussion on anything that you need to ask. And also have to thank Nikhil for running this superb channel for all these years and hosting us today. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are also looking forward to learning some new things about AV infra and Zeon. So,
So,
just
Akhil, first question, I may. So, your X profile doesn't say you're from Zeon. Why is it so?
That is actually a bit intentional because I think Nikhil also knows. See, I had to give you a slightly long answer on this. The profile actually is was started way before. I mean, my profile is something like maybe 10, 15 years old. I don't really remember how old it is exactly, but I always thought, any official communication or anything Xeon related should come from our official channels, and I'll just chip in on an unofficial basis. So just trying to keep a low profile with this handle. Nothing very serious or no other serious reason for it.
Okay, so I've been following you, but I never knew that you're from Zeon.
That was the intention. Yeah. No, anyway, so yeah,
so
it's I think it's pretty much a lot of people know by now, so there's no sense in uh, probably you're right, I should update my profile soon. It's not something that I really thought about, but yeah.
So, Akhil, just take us through the journey of Xeon and how you came in touch with it. As far as I remember, you joined later, I think.
Officially, yes, sometime down the line, but let me just quickly take a minute and talk about what Xeon is and how we started. So we are mainly three co-founders in Xeon: Karthik, Palanisamy, Nalashivam, and myself. So we have always been into EVs and renewables and sustainable, methods of transportation. This is I've been driving an E2O since 2013. It's the same with Karthik and Shivam, who got their E2Os in I think sometime in 2015 or 2016. So we always had that EV enthusiast seed in us, and sometime in 2019 when the Kona launched, and then a few months later the Nexon launched. Karthik and Shivam are based in Tirupur, which is close to Coimbatore, in case people don't know where Tirupur is. And I'm out here in Bangalore. So we all got ourselves our so-called uh, modern EVs back then. I got my Kona, Karthik and Shivam got an MG and Nexon. Then the next question was, how do we, we got these nice new EVs which are way better than the E2O, which was in on its best day would do about 90 kilometer on a full charge. So now we got a slightly longer range vehicle. So now what do we do if we have to travel to each other? So I don't know if anybody recalls, I had extensively tweeted about. I used to tweet a lot about my road trips back in 2019, 2020. Uh, that is whenever the lockdown allowed travel. So the first test run that we really figured out how things could work in terms of charging as a problem to solve was when I did a non-stop drive from Bangalore to Coimbatore in I think early 2020 or something like that. So then we kind of mapped out that this is a real problem to have if we have to drive to each other's cities and make transport or road trips on EVs possible. That we need to have some sort of a charging infrastructure. Back then, Fortum was one of the early players. I think they had maybe 5 or 6 chargers sprinkled across Bangalore and Chennai. I think some in NCR. So that wasn't really enabling long distance travel, but it was a sort of an idea that this is how it could possibly happen. We install a charger on some good locations, and then people would use it. So we decided to do a pilot of maybe about a few stations and see how it goes. And our background is that we have our other businesses running, and we are from a business background. So if the pilot fails, we just go back to work and call it like an experiment that went wrong. But the first few stations that we built or that we installed along Bangalore to Coimbatore really started taking off among the early adopters. We literally, some of the messages that we got was, thanks to you, we were able to take our EV there. And this was back in 2020, end of 2020, I think. So this actually gave us some a lot of motivation that this could be viable, and this could be something that people would really like to have as part of the EV ownership experience. Back then, it wasn't a grand plan. Uh, it was basically just to fill or just to do a couple of corridors and see how it goes. So one pilot of 10 or a few stations led to 10, led to 15, led to 20, and then it just kept growing from there. And then it really became serious when people really started adopting EVs in 22, 23, in that period. So yeah, I mean, and we are here now. We've got something like 270, 280 odd locations, about 400 chargers across our network in the south, and of course parts of other country as well. But predominantly the network is in the south, and it's turned into a full-fledged infrastructure business. It's a big change from what we thought it would be in the early pilot days. But anyway, just don't want to drag on the answer for too long. I hope that gives some insight into how we started off the company.
Yeah, definitely. I remember those 2019 phase when you guys got Kona, and I think most of you bought that 7 kilowatt portable charger to enable charging at destinations. I think some of you still have that. Arun still uses that with his Model Y and EV6.
That's true. The 7 kilowatt portable charger is something that. So my native is actually on the Kerala Tamil Nadu border, and I was very happy just charging off whenever I did these road trips in my Kona. I was quite happy charging with the 12 amp charger, portable charger that came with the Kona, right? But then the trips became very frequent. I didn't want to, I just thought I'd leave a charger there, and we had like a group buy in the Hyundai Kona group. I think about 10, 15 of us, including our own, bought those chargers. So yeah, pretty useful tool to have.
Yeah. So how has your network expanded from then? And if you can give a breakdown of each year, rough breakdown, how you guys have been expanding AC versus DC, that would be great.
So the focus was always to enable highway travel. Like I said, we didn't think that AC charger would have a lot of, the anxiety was always about, or the discussion, or the whole narrative was around how highway travel. What do I do? I don't want to sit, and all these perception or the narrative was created that you have to wait for some 7, 8 hours on the highway somewhere to charge up on an AC charger. So we wanted to break that narrative. So we started off with 50 kilowatt single gun chargers because, as you know, the vehicle count was not very big in 2020, 2021. We were hardly doing about 50, 60,000 cars in the country. And so we started off with the 50 kilowatt chargers along highways, and we didn't really focus too much on AC charging as such. What we had done is we had installed these 16 amp sockets in every DC station, so that in case there is an issue or somebody is not able to charge for whatever reason, they can at least have a fallback option with the 3.3 kilowatt, the 16 amp sockets. As far as AC goes, that's what we were doing. And it's only sometime in the last 18 to 24 months then that we started partnering with a lot of these hotel and resort chains, malls, workplaces, these kind of properties or locations wanted to have AC charging facilities in their premises, and I think it's to the efforts of the community who actually, whenever they would visit the properties to stay or to work or go to a mall to watch a movie or something, they would actually give feedback saying that you need to have EV charging infrastructure in your property. That actually turned a lot of interest towards having this as an amenity. So it's only the last 24 months that we have really started rolling out AC chargers. And I also have to mention one big boost that came across was our partnership with BMW, which they wanted to have a lot of destination chargers in some good properties across the south. So that partnership really pushed things along a good way. I think the count was something like 85 odd 22 kilowatt chargers we have installed in resorts, hotels, malls, and such places. So yeah, like I said, the focus always and still is to a large extent on the DC side. AC, we are doing it in a very limited way with communities. We have a partnership with a couple of other AC, or let's say the community charging focused companies who are installing it in residential societies and so on. But yeah, the focus has always been on DC for the most part.
Right. So I got an interesting point from Priyans that they have counted more 3 kilowatt socket than Type 2 chargers in Xeon network.
Priyans doesn't miss anything. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that count is correct. So yeah, it's see what happens is these 3.3 kilowatt sockets, like I mentioned, we had a lot of these 16 amp sockets which were free for use. They were not enabled on the app or anything. It was just like a dumb 16 amp socket. So basically, in a lot of locations, we just converted them to OCPP enabled. Basically, that means you can start and stop the charge through the app and so on. And also, we started seeing a lot of these customers who also had two-wheelers, right? Who said, "We are at your station, we can charge our car, but if we need to charge our two-wheeler, what do we do?" So we started installing a lot of these 3.3 kilowatt sockets across the.
So Narayana from Tamil Nadu has asked a question that destination charging is a low cost but very essential for EV charging. Collaborating with shops, homes, malls, hotels, and such entities are needed. In general, it should be concentrated in places where people usually travel as destination. Another CPU has brought a small equipment that a homeowner can install to provide this facility and make money. Like this, will Xeon become a name in destination charging at homes? So I will first put my view that I know which what he is talking about, but I don't think that charging at someone's home is going to become a business. That's my personal view, and I'll kill you.
See, I agree with you. Uh, there are also regulatory challenges on this, right? Many cities or the municipal corporations, they don't. I mean, see, the parking along people's homes on the road and so on are not really meant for charging as such. They're meant for people to park for short periods of time. So I think there could be a regulatory challenge as well. From an application standpoint, from a usage standpoint, also, I'm not too sure whether it will easily kick off. I think you must be aware of this, Nikhil. A couple of companies have tried this concept where they
Yes.
installed 3.3 kilowatt sockets in shops, houses. They offered it to private owners to install in their houses. I don't think that was very successful to my.
No, they are now, the companies are now pivoting to something else also because like you don't want to go to someone else, and I don't want a random person at my home basically. Like charging in public is fine, but private is a different, whole different scenario. Take us to the first charger you installed. I think Shankaragiri, or what was the name? That was a 50 kilowatt. And you have taken it through a couple of upgrades. So just take us through the journey of that first charger.
Yeah, a couple of upgrades at that location is actually an understatement, Nikhil. It
Yeah.
we we actually went through. We didn't realize it until somebody in our team said, how many we want to make a sort of a montage of how many changes have been made to the site. That's when we realized how much we have played around, how much we have upgraded this particular location. So the very first location, it is still our flagship site. Um, Even though it may not be as powerful as some of the other sites we have built, but it is still very sentimental, and it holds a lot of good memories for us. The site is actually located in about 20 kilometers away from Salem, which is and it's on the Bangalore to Coimbatore uh, highway. So this is exactly about 210 to 20 kilometers from Bangalore, and about 150 to Coimbatore. And so it kind of acts as a midpoint for a lot of people. And it's also attached to a very good hotel. There are a lot of amenities in the spot. So we started off with a 50 kilowatt charger there, and then it was running like that for a very long time. Then we once demand picked up, we added another 50 kilowatt, and next upgrade was removing one of the 50 kilowatt. We put a 60 kilowatt dual gun. Finally, we removed the second 50 kilowatt. We put another 60 kilowatt dual gun, and sorry, this is going to sound repetitive, but then we removed one of the 60 kilowatt. We put a 120 kilowatt dual gun, and finally, what we've done now is a 120 four gun, the dispenser kind of charger, and a 60 kilowatt standalone. This is also one of our stations where we have a BESS system running. So this is providing a good sort of a backup against any grid outages, and it also adds to the power availability at the site. So yeah, this site has seen a lot of upgrades, and this is actually one of the sites that has seen at least 5-6 upgrades. Usually what we have done is we have a lot of the 50 kilowatt chargers that our customers have used in the network. We have upgraded them to either a second 50 kilowatt, or then we have changed it to 60, 120. We have just upgraded as the demand picked up, and as more and more cars with higher power charging capacities came in. So we have just kind of upgraded with the times to cater to the demand.
So this site went from ABB to Delta to Exicom to now Mindra hardware.
Well, other way around. It went from Delta to ABB, another ABB, then Exicom, then two Exicoms, then Mindra. It also has an Exicom 60. A lot of changes, yeah.
What capacity is that BAS attached to it?
This particular BESS system is a pilot. So this is actually a 132 kilowatt hour pack that can support about 90 kilowatt of continuous energy.
And how much is the grid connection on that site, if you can disclose that?
So yeah, I mean, we have a 120 kilowatt connected load here,
Okay.
and the total capacity installed is about 180 kilowatt, right? So the deficit 60 kilowatt is actually supplied through the BESS system.
And so how has been the use of that particular station with the BAS? Like, do you see the BAS getting emptied and having load reduction on the site, or is that the uses has been enough for BAS to supply without any issue?
No, the usage has been quite sufficient. The BESS is supporting it perfectly. So we have, of course, this particular season there has been increased utilization the last few months because of the number of vehicles that have been added on, and especially now the last let's say 4 or 5 weeks is the travel or the vacation season, right? So there is added utilization, and it has performed very well within that uh, uh, high demand as well.
So are there other sites also with the BAS connections currently?
Yes, we do have a few more sites in the pipeline. We have a couple of. To be honest, Nikhil, we actually started with the BESS experiment more than 3 years back in Karnataka. That was a very small unit. It was more like an experiment to see whether this concept actually works. We just wanted to see because uh, we had heard a lot about this, and we had seen a couple of units in the early days in Europe. People who had experimented with this. So Channapatna on Bangalore Mysore Road was the very first pilot that we did. That was a very small unit. It was a 30 kilowatt charger supported by an 80 kilowatt hour battery. So that actually gave us a lot of data. This was more than 2.5 years ago. So I could say we didn't really advertise it because it was a pilot, and we just wanted to do it to get a lot of data. So I don't think many people knew about it. I think it's the first time I may be revealing this in a public forum. But yeah, that pilot was almost 2.5 years old. And at that time, as you know, as many people in the audience may know, the battery prices were very, very high compared to today. So we didn't really think it's a viable option to implement on a large scale. So we kind of put that idea on hold. It's only in the last maybe 6 months that we really started kicking off again. So a lot of sites in Tamil Nadu are coming up with BESS support, and we may have some in Karnataka as well.
Right. And this BAS hardware has been kind of done by you yourself?
No, no, no. Of course not. We have partners for this who have supplied this to us. So it's not done by us.
Okay. So let me ask a question which will relate back to BAS. I'm asking, how does the fixed load charges affect you as a CPO, or in general any CPO? And what are the load charges that states charge that you are currently have charges in?
See, as you know, the power tariff is a state subject, right? So every state has their own discom. In some cases, like Karnataka and Andhra, there are multiple discoms within the state, which are all government run. So they have every state has its own power tariff structure. For example, I'll start with the lowest. Andhra, Telangana, there are no fixed charges for EV tariffs, right? And but at the other extreme end, Tamil Nadu has very high fixed charges. Uh, Kerala also is slightly I would say somewhere in fixed charges, in terms of fixed charges, Kerala also does not have a fixed charge, but the unit rate is more. So every state has its combination of fixed charges plus energy charges, which all CPOs have to work with when they're doing their economics. I hope that answers your question.
And do you think that with the BAS in some states like Tamil Nadu, uh, with the lower battery prices on, you would be able to reduce that some of the financial load that brings with this? Or that is that not a issue if there's good enough usage at the station?
Yeah, so I don't know if people are aware, but some next year the fixed charges in Tamil Nadu are going to go up. It's almost going to double. Uh, so this, I think, will kind of start skewing the economics more and more towards best systems. But it is still early days. Even now, we are in a pilot phase, right? So there is a bit of track record that has to come through in order to fully establish the economics of having a BESS versus taking the full load from the grid. So there is some advantage on paper to be had, but unless there is a track record, because as you know, EV charging the load is very unpredictable in the sense we can predict when and where on days of the week that when the load can come in or when there is going to be usage. But by and large, it's not like a steady load like in industry or like a commercial complex, so on. So Tamil Nadu, for example, has a time of day usage. In the solar hours, the electricity is off peak hours. It's the lowest slab. But between 5 to 8, if I remember correctly, it goes to peak, and then there are like 3, 4 slabs. So we have to factor in all these things, and unless there is a clear usage pattern, right, with the BESS, it is still pretty early to say whether economically it will work in terms of taking the full load from the grid or using the BESS to supplement the DC charging capacity.
Okay. So regarding this, Selva has asked a question that Zeon is widely recognized for its superior uptime in South India. However, the per unit pricing in Tamil Nadu remains higher than in neighboring. Is this disparity primarily due to state-specific commercial tariffs and wheeling charge, or is it part of a premium service pricing model?
See, there are two parts to that question. First of all, hi, Selva. Following your Kona repair posts, by the way, big fan of what you did. Getting back to your question, there are two parts to it. One is, yes, the tariff structure plays a big part. The cost of power that we get from the discom or the EB plays a big part in what we price into the tariff. Second thing is that we believe that there has to be a sustainable way of operations in what we do, because we cannot uh, just a bit of context to this point. We are a bootstrap company, right? So we, coming from a traditional or business background, we believe that a business has to be profitable, right, for us to actually put money back into the business and grow the network. So unless we price the tariff in a certain way that allows us to make for more and more investments into expanding the network, the business will not be sustainable both for us and also the ecosystem, right? So we have priced the tariff in a way that allows us to do this. It's basically, I mean, we can't, have like very thin margins, because that will actually slow us in terms of our expansion. And we also, as you said, we also place a high emphasis on reliability. And I'm not saying that everything is perfect, but we try to keep it as seamless and trouble free for the customer as possible. There are issues here and there that things go wrong, but we do spend a lot of our resources in terms of money, in terms of effort, in keeping the network as high as possible in terms of uptime. So long answer short, all these things come at a certain cost. We have manpower in a lot of places, and yeah, to immediately respond if there's an issue. So these kind of things, we factor into our price calculations and then price it. So we are aware that our pricing is higher than our competitors, but we think that our customers will hopefully, as you have done, appreciate us, or recognize that the price differential is uh, justified in terms of the good stations that we have, or in terms of the uptime that we try to achieve. So this is our message that we try to convey whenever people ask us about the pricing disparity. Yeah.
There's another question from Selva. What is the projected penetration of BAS within the Zeon network over the next few years? Specifically, how much will you rely on battery storage to facilitate ultra-fast charging in area where local grid or transformer capacity is a bottleneck?
Yeah, that's a good question. See, we this year we are planning to. When I say this year, in the next, let's say, 12 to 18 months, we'll be having a lot of stations with best support, because I think in a lot of our chargers in Tamil Nadu are in the 120 kilowatt mark, and with newer vehicles in the last 6 months, which are capable of doing 180 kilowatt peak. People, let's say, if you have two Mahindras charging on a 120 kilowatt, it still gets split 60 each, right? It's not a great experience for the user. Uh, so we are trying to supplement our the charging capacity in many of the popular stations by using BESS, which is why we have a lot of these pilots going on, so that we can sort of finalize on the final proper configuration of each battery pack that we need in a particular station, and then expand it at scale. So I think in the next 12 months you would see about close to about 20-25 stations in Tamil Nadu having best support. That's in our plan.
Right. So B Bold DV has asked that going ahead, what do you think will be the average charging price in the coming 2 to 5 years for a normal charger?
For the I mean, is it about the tariff, or just to clarify?
At cost to the customer.
Got it.
per kilowatt hour.
Got it.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, like I explained, in Tamil Nadu, we have a very high cost of power, and it's going to go further up because the Discom is going to increase the tariff next year. Unless something changes drastically in the next 6 months and they decide to hold off on increasing the price, uh, this is the outlook. But if you look at our other station pricing in other states, right, like for example in Kerala, in Karnataka, in Andhra, we are actually priced a lot lower than many of our competitors. Like for example, in Karnataka, we have stations as low as 15, 16 rupees a unit plus tax. In Andhra also, we do in many of the in few of the stations we have priced it at like 17, 18 rupees plus tax. So there is also a factor of some of these properties are in high cost real estate, which uh, which we are forced to add on to the tariff. For example, in like really popular malls or like really busy food courts which are run by corporates, they expect a certain cost of the real estate when we set up a station. So that adds to the cost in the tariff, and of course that comes as a convenience to the customer as well, because if the location is premium, there are many amenities, then it's more of a advantage to the customer, of course coming with a higher price. Second thing is we are also trying as an association. I think there are some efforts going on, to ask the government to see what can be done under the GST rates. But that is a bit of a long shot. But if something happens there, maybe there is some relief to the customer, because this is something that the government has to take a call. So net effect on the customer, these kind of things are there. So price is actually determined by a lot of these external factors. So yeah.
Be bold, introduce yourself and ask the question.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for this forum, guys. So the next question which I have is that I am seeing that there are like most of the 60 kV chargers are coming up and they are actually getting installed at the hotels, and but they are not going with installing the transformer. So because of which it costs like 22 rupees most at most of the places, like average I am saying. So do you foresee this to be the norm, or do you feel like most of the chargers would be upgraded to 120, 180, and they would be with the transformer? Because even the if we have to install the transformer at some states, we have to give some deposits also, right? If anyone is trying to install it, that is also a huge what do you call capital which is getting parked for the what we can say as which is getting parked for government actually, which is also holding off the new charger installations for the investor who is going to invest with the new charging stations actually.
Correct. That's a great point. See, a few of our stations are located in these commercial build properties, like you mentioned, like hotels, like malls. Uh, the cost of power. So when we take power from the property, there is a commercial tariff that we have to pay, because obviously they are paying that to the discom. So in some states that is not very high. For example, in Karnataka, the difference between a EV connection and a commercial connection is, in terms of energy rate, is about maybe 50 paise or 1 rupee or something. Of course, the fixed charges are about 40-50% higher. But we try to negotiate with each property to have the property the power rate fixed in, but it is definitely on the higher side compared to an dedicated EV connection. So it's not just us. I think other CPOs also will be in the same situation where, like I said, the tariff cost is determined by uh, the power cost to the CPO, and also the property cost, the rent or the revenue share or whatever is paid to the property. Typically in these kind of properties, like the premium ones, they also expect a higher cost, right? So it does tend to be more expensive in such properties. And coming to the point you made about the transformers and everything, see, we are at a stage where about a year ago, or maybe I think sometime in early 2024 or end of 2024, we took a call saying that the way the EV industry is growing, there is no sense in trying to restrict ourselves to a certain capacity when we are installing these stations. So we have started doing our own transformer yard, like a mini substation, or installing our own transformers in almost 95% of the locations we have done in Karnataka the last year or 18 months have been with our own transformer investment, with the deposits and everything. So I mentioned earlier, this is an infrastructure play, right? So this is not something we are seeing to recover quick money or anything. It's going to be like 3-5 year kind of a window where the investment that we make now is going to pay off in the next 3 to 5 years to come as the industry grows. So if we restrict ourselves to stations where we don't have to install transformers and get dedicated connections to ourselves, the industry will never actually take off, because as customers will not be happy with 60 kilowatt or even 120 kilowatt chargers, right? So uh, we need more and more power so that we are able to cater to more and more customers. Basically, that's the answer to that, is building our own infrastructure. It's only
Yeah,
way out.
yeah, got it. So you also answered the next question which I was gonna ask, that is 60 gonna kiwi enough for next 5 years? So I don't think so, right? Because the norm would be 120 to 180, I guess, right?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty difficult to predict which way it will go, because it all depends on our automaker partners. Let's say 6 months down the line, Tata or Mahindra or anybody who they come out and say, here's a car that charges at 200 kilowatt. What do we do then?
Yeah.
Uh, then that becomes a mass market car, and customers will demand 200 kilowatt peak charging, right? They're not going to compromise, right? So it all depends on how the market or how the vehicles move, which way, at least for the passenger cars, which direction it moves in terms of the peak charging capacity. If you had asked this question a year back, or maybe 2 years back, we would have said, 60 or 120 is great, 120 is good enough. But now 120 is not not sufficient. So we
Yeah.
don't know where the 6 months down the line, a year down the line, things could change. So even 120, even a 180 kilowatt charger could get outdated. Who knows?
So I have one question around the best installation of your chargers, Akhil. What kind of configurations like you have done specifically for best, like how much power versus how much storage as of now, and what all kind of equipments you have to add on? Is it like separate inverter or battery storage, or it is a kind of integrated solution you are procuring from somebody? How's it?
See, like I said, we are running pilots across a few locations now. Each one has a different configuration. So we are also studying the data. But so far, what we have done is, we have a 35 kilowatt hour storage. So basically, it will put out something like 125, 130 kilowatt of continuous power. Right. So that's the kind of norm that is available in the market also right now, in this scale. So if you want like higher storage, that can supply, or back the station up for a longer period of time in case there's a grid outage, we need to add more storage. So in case we want more power, right, we need to make different arrangements for that. So it's not, the system is not just batteries. Like you said, it comes with inverters, because the power it takes in is on the AC side. Then it converts it to DC and stores it in the battery. And then, as and when the demand comes in, it puts it back to AC and then sends it to the charger, which are mostly AC input, right? So, yeah, that's how it works.
So what kind of inverters are they? Like, is it kind of some hybrid or some? If you can shed some light.
Yeah. So
I,
at
I'm
this
I'm
scale,
sure I'm sure the inverters would be sitting in between the grid and your chargers, and then backed up by the batteries. That is how it would be, right?
correct. So it's basically exactly like how your home inverter is, right? Home UPS system. It's just
Mhm.
that on a much larger scale.
Okay.
So
So with 235 kilowatt hour battery storage, you will have 120 kilowatt power PCS specifically, right? Or inverters.
correct. See, there are many options available in the market. You have 50 kilowatt PCS, then you have a couple of companies who are offering 100 kilowatt PCS. So multiples of these would, cater to the demand. And a couple of our partners are giving us customized solutions where we can design how much storage we want, how much inverter power that we want, how long storage needs to last, what is the amount, can we throttle each input, like what we get from the grid, what we get from the battery, can we adjust all these things, so a lot of these things are these kind of solutions are available.
So if it is not too intrusive, maybe you can avoid answering also. If you can name few of the players you are kind of working with or have discussions ongoing. I just wanted to know like who all are the players available in this space.
See, I don't mind naming it because they have been advertising themselves all over LinkedIn and other channels. So there's no harm in naming anybody. So couple of charger manufacturers are into it. Exicom has a solution. Mindra has a solution. Then you have a lot of these best suppliers, like who supply best systems to other applications like solar farms, commercial complexes, and so on. So there are many of them. I think at least 40-50 of them across India who are into this now. And so they're all partnered with mostly Chinese battery suppliers. So they just bring the packs over and integrate them into the container and supply it locally. If you look at the tier one category as such, when I say tier one, I'm talking about the cells or the batteries themselves. There are companies like Dynas. There are companies like Rept. They're all into the in India in a good scale right now. And we are also experimenting a bit with a couple of startups where they are actually repurposing second life EV batteries. Like we have a lot of these first generation Tigor Express T cars which are seeing end of life for various reasons. So they are taking the battery packs and then they're repurposing them and creating best systems. So yeah,
That is great. That is great.
so
And in terms of pricing, where are we in these best kind of solutions per watt in whatever units you kind of think?
see, it's very variable because like I said, it's a bit of a customized solution, so there is no fixed price when we come to it. And as I said, we're also
Any
experimenting.
tentative range, like it would range from this to this,
So
something.
yeah, it on an average, it's about completely integrated with a container. The landed cost maybe about 25,000 rupees per kilowatt hour.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, because most people publicly available information, they have the price per kilowatt hour for the bare battery, the cells, right? But when you add on things like inverter, power electronics, container, HVAC, the fire suppression systems, cabling,
Yeah.
all these things get added to that basic cost. But people just see what is the price per kilowatt hour and then say that okay, it's very cheap now. But the other power electronics are also needed, right? So
Right.
factor that in.
Mehrab, if you can ask question now.
Hi Akhil, how are you?
Yeah, hi, I'm fine.
Akhil,
How are you?
I have lost your number, huh? Previously, later on, if you can reach out to me or DM it to me. You may be remembering me as Mebs Akhil from the other groups that we were in.
Okay. Now I recall. Sorry. A lot of people here are on their Twitter handle, so I
Yes,
don't immediately recognize it.
yes. It's been so long. I've been searching for your number since a long time, Akhil.
Sure.
I can share it to you, Mabs, if you want.
Yes, that will be fantastic. And very nice whatever you guys are doing. I just wanted to ask one question. Are you all planning to expand here in Maharashtra? Because I'm trying to tie up with some people to install 750 kilowatt chargers every 300 kilometers radius.
Well, that's great. Yeah, so we already are in Maharashtra, but on a very sort of limited basis. We have a few chargers here and there, but it's not like a proper network as such. But definitely, Maharashtra is something that we are interested in the next 12 months. We are already looking at certain corridors, and we are working towards it. So
So,
it will be
so
great
funding
to.
I have got. Luckily, I've got the funding and everything ready. I've even started talks with the aggregators for the bus, regular commuting buses on the route. So all that is done. I just need you guys to take over the installation of the chargers and handling and Xeon back office, all your CPO stuff.
We'll be very happy to do it. So, Nikhil, I think will share my number, and you can reach out.
Yeah,
We'll get something going.
In fact, just today I was in talks. I was with one of the government bodies, and they have approved the funding for this idea that we have coached. And thanks to Sagar, we did one test recently. We realized that all EVs, the new age EV owner is not going to drive like we used to, our Nexons and everything, how we used to drive at 60 and 50 and 80. The new age EV owner is going to enjoy their cars, and the new cars being 70, 80 kilowatts, no matter how you drive, they are going to be able to reach 300 kilometers. That is why we plan to install chargers. I want to remove this whole thing, the whole stigma from people's mind, ke EVs, you have to plan and go on the highway and all that stuff. I want to remove that. I want them to drive anyhow, and no matter where they go in a 300-kilometer radius, Xeon will be present. Something like that.
Fantastic, sir. Yeah. That's exactly what we also intend to do. In fact, if you look at this is our target when we open up any corridor, right? Our target is not just 300 kilometers. We are having a frequency or a radius of. So I think the smallest one we have something like every 30 kilometers. We have a station, and by and large we try to target something like 100-kilometer radius, because we want to give customers the option of, like you said, planning is not required, so they don't need to try and target one particular station because that's the only station for the next, let's say, 200 kilometers. So we want to give customers option of multiple stations along the way, so they can charge as per their choice wherever they want to, and a different location if they want to than they tried previously. So uh, yeah, very happy to. We'll reconnect, and let's take this forward.
And definitely, once we set up these main 300-kilometer radius bases, then we can pick up old chargers like the 30 kilowatt ones, the 120 kilowatt, the 60 kilowatt, which is now just lying with people in stock. And then, like you rightly said, we can put it in between each of these 300 kilowatt places. So people have that choice in case of
Sure.
an emergency or a shortfall.
Of course, always useful. Yeah,
So nothing goes to waste and everything is utilized.
that's right. That's right.
Okay, I'm done. Anybody next? Please continue.
Surya Sagar has a question related to this. Surya?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Akhil. This is
Hi,
Surya from Andhra Pradesh.
hi, Surya.
Actually, yeah, I'm looking to take a franchise of Zeon charging. Is there any currently subsidy going on from central government or the state government?
So yeah, there are subsidies both at the central and state level. The thing is, it's a bit. There is a bit of a process involved in getting these subsidies, right? There are the government has notified certain agencies in every state that has to handle subsidy applications, and most of these agencies are government run bodies. So it could be time consuming in the sense that it has its own natural uh, time frame, right, that you can avail yourself of the subsidy. But yes, to answer your question, there are it is available, and I should also say that as of now, we have not really set up any stations with subsidies either in our own company network or with franchisees, simply because we think that the idea is to once we identify a corridor, the idea is to start work immediately as possible and go live as quickly as possible, right? And with the hardware that we are familiar with, that we can guarantee. So when you talk about subsidies, it's available with a few restrictions and riders. So it may not always be the case that you would end up with a uh, like a good quality charger, or that gives a good uptime. I'm not saying that all the manufacturers who have empaneled themselves in the subsidy scheme are bad manufacturers. There are good ones, but when people go through the process, they may not be aware of who are the good or who are the bad ones, or I won't say bad, or who are the less good ones. So it is a decision that you have to take carefully, because your uptime dictates the return on investment, right? So you can't have a charger which is not functioning, because customers will start avoiding it after a period of time. And if you're not able to get it up and going within a reasonable period of time, then it is going to hit you financially, right? So you have to keep all these things in mind.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay.
Sure.
So Akhil, on the question of franchise, how does this thing work if anyone is interested? Like you have co-investment, or it is total investment by the owner, and what is the maintenance? How is it handled and all?
See, we have a couple of models. Actually, our franchise uh, side of things is relatively new. It's something that we have started focusing on only in the last year or so. Approximately 10% of the network is franchise owned as of now. Uh, and this is intentional, because we started very early on in 2020, and even in 2022, 23, we started getting a lot of these requests for investments as a franchisee, but we were not convinced if we were able to, give a certain, because people will come with a certain expectation in mind as a return on their investment. But the market being how it was, we were not very convinced that that would satisfy that expectation. So it's only in the last 12 or 18 months that the industry has really kicked off, and it is a viable business proposition, especially if the location is very good. Now we have set up a dedicated team which handles franchise inquiries or the investments, and so on. So if anybody is interested, you can DM me and I'll put you in touch with them. And it works in two models. Basically, how it works is, if somebody is running a restaurant, or has a property at strategic locations, like convenient locations, they want to host a charger, or they want to invest into a charger. We send a proposal, we do a survey, we then give them the commercials and everything, and then once that is done, we host it on our we do end-to-end installation, right from obtaining the power, building the station, operating it, commissioning it successfully, and the day-to-day operations also we take care. Right, the customer support, the back-end support, and everything is done by us. And what happens is, in that case, the property owner is benefited in the sense that he has EV customers coming to his property, generating a return on his investment on the station, and also getting additional revenue for his property if it's a restaurant or a cafe or something. So there is a two-sided advantage to it. The other category is if somebody doesn't have a property but they just want to invest, right? So we have a list of locations that ongoing locations in the pipeline, or any other existing location that we think would be suitable for a potential franchisee. We always have a up-to-date real-time list that is available, and if the investor has a particular preference of location or region, we offer it to them, and they just invest, and then we take care of the rest. So they have nothing to do with the property as such. So these are the two categories that we have.
Okay. Ankush, yeah, you can ask a question.
Hi, good evening. It's a pleasure, joining you all here, and what Nikhil from Tesla Club India is doing. And Akhil, it's so gracious of you to come in and answer all our queries. So, Akhil, my very important question to you would be looking at the volumes that are going to increase in this sector of EV, particularly the four wheeler adoption. So, my very basic question is see, I'm not trying to say what Tamil Nadu as a state is doing, in jacking up the fixed prices or the taxes. But if we look at the broader picture, I want to ask you if these rates per kilowatt hour keep on increasing to the customer. As an industry, I'm talking about, even looking at the trends everywhere too. So, do you think it would be a great competition from the PSU DC chargers per se, which are operating at around 16 or let us say 18 by next 1 or 2 year? So, how do you see that in the longer perspective compared to private players in the sector?
Right. See, long run, it is a concern because if the energy prices keep going up and uh, CPOs like us who are focused on our the profitability on the station, right? Uh, if we are forced to, we can't just continuously keep passing it on to the customers. It's not possible in the long run. We have to find, as a CPO, that responsibility is on us to make it as cost effective as possible to the customer. Because one, as a larger picture, the entire industry or the entire community will suffer because they will start finding it more and more expensive. They'll simply say, my diesel car is cheaper than this, and then they might start reducing the EV usage, which on the larger picture that is not good for any of us, right? Second thing is specifically to the OMCs, uh, the pricing. This is my take. The pricing is not sustainable simply because there are multiple elements involved, right? I think all the stakeholders, the information on the stakeholders are in the public domain. There is one is the investment which the OMC or the dealer of the petrol pump he bears. In some cases, the OMC, if it's a very large category one petrol pump, I think the OMC is bearing the cost in some cases, and that revenue share with the property, with the with themselves is also like a bit skewed right now. So the 16 rupee per kilowatt hour is a bit unsustainable. I think if the OMCs are looking at it from a proper profitability standpoint, I think they will rationalize the prices very shortly in the short term. Um, Second is the actual utilization of these kind of stations, right? I think most of us in the audience are EV owners. So given a choice between a petrol pump where the cost is 16 rupees per kilowatt hour, uh, or let's say a Zeon station in a food court or in a good restaurant, which is priced at, let's say, 20 rupees per kilowatt hour, that 4 rupees cost differential, would you rather spend half an hour in a petrol pump or in a place where you and your family have things to do for half an hour, right? So we see a lot of our customers actually recognizing this more and more. Of course, see, there is always going to be the budget conscious or people who want the cheapest rate possible. They will always compromise, or they may compromise and go to these kind of stations where they will save money. And of course that is their choice, that they make. But if you want some more convenience in terms of the property, in terms of the power available at the charger, your waiting time and all that, so that differential, I think more and more customers will recognize the.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Akhil, my just adding to that supplementary question. See, I'm talking from a very long term perspective. Like India is a very price sensitive country. So right now we might not see many EV owners opting for this BPCL, HPCL, or IOCL subsidized rates of kilowatt hour. But what I'm looking at it, the way volumes are going to increase, and we'll see a massive chunk of very value conscious EV owners coming into the market. What I see is now these petrol pumps are also coming up with the cafe system, where they'll have a a small cafe like the US. And the way we are seeing at 120 kilowatt chargers, let us say, and for example, I'm using a 90. So if I go there, I don't want a long break, just a 15-minute, 20-minute top up. So would it be justifiable me paying anything over 25 rupees, or let us say when the massive chunk of value conscious buyers come in and they just want to take a very small top up, so would they stick to 16 or 18 rupees of PSU charges, which may increase just not above 19 is what I expect, from a PSU entity. So do you see this kind of behavioral shift in the volumes that are about to come?
Yes, for sure, Sagar. See, because there are, like I mentioned, there are all kinds of customers, right? People who don't even look at the price, and there are people who only look at the price and make a decision. And as you said, there may be people who just need a 5-10 minute break, and they don't necessarily need a like a 200 kilowatt charger or a 180 kilowatt charger. So they just need like 5-10 minutes of break where they have something like 10-15 kilowatt hour added on. So there will always be people, there will always be demand for such stations, and I have a longer take on it. Because my interest, business apart, my interest is to see the EV ecosystem grow, and the more categories of charging stations that are available, let it be petrol pumps, let it be stations which are attached to food courts, standalone stations, or let there be a station which has nothing around it, like just a station in the middle of nowhere, right? The more stations we see, the more the market, or the more the industry, or the more the car buying segment will get confidence, right? So all kinds of locations are welcome in my book, because that will grow the industry in the long run.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll pass over to Nikhil now to take the next question.
Uh, I will add to this that these OMC chargers have taken a huge amount of the FAME subsidies and now will take on the PME drive subsidies. So I think the comparison, yeah, from customer point of view, it doesn't matter. But that's just a point to be taken. And that these PSU chargers, there's a chance that these can be hoarded by the commercial vehicles, trucks, buses, or even these small, there's Tata or Aisha, they are coming up.
Yeah, that's a good target audience actually, because anyway, the commercial vehicles are used to spending some time in large fuel pumps. A lot of the company owned OMC pumps, right, they have these rest areas for truckers, so it's very natural place for them to take a break and charge up if they have a EV vehicle.
No,
So
no, but what happens, Akhil, is to be on a very broader perspective, when the DCFC rates go above 25, right? People coming from the mentality of, let us say, CNG buyers or diesel, good average mileage giving diesel buyers, then they would question that what else or much are we saving, compared to, I'm talking about a very on ground practical scenario kind of thinking of, potential owners that are going to come into the EV ecosystem with the volumes going up. So that is my point of contention, that how would you as CPO would like to tackle such kind of potential customers that you might have with the rate control and the price control and everything.
specifically, are you talking about the commercial segment?
Yeah, not only the commercial. I'm more focused on the retail or EV owners,
So
particularly passenger segment.
let's say to take an example, a Zeta is cheaper to run on a highway trip than a EV, which gets charged using 30 rupees per unit.
Not only Jetta, Rakesh ji, even the CNG buyers who might, be thinking of shifting to EV,
Yeah,
but looking
I
at
just took an
anything, any rate
example.
above, yeah, any rate above 25, then it would not fall into their books of economics.
Correct. No, that's what I mentioned earlier, right? I think in the previous question somebody asked about the tariff, the cost. Beyond a point, customers will definitely start questioning, and they in some stations where we have commercial power, higher tariff, they the kind of comments that we get, I don't think I can repeat them. So uh, people have started noticing the high tide, because the comment is exactly what you mentioned. What is the benefit in me in driving an EV if the prices are like this? So how we are trying to tackle it is in terms of, like, one is like the early part of this spaces we were talking about trying to drive the cost down through best systems. That is something that could definitely impact a bit. Second way we are trying to tackle it is we are continuously engaging the government and the discoms to look at it, because this is still a very early stage for the industry. They can't continuously increase the input power and make it unviable, because then CPOs will just not operate or install stations in such states where there is high power. It is definitely a setback. Let me admit it that way. We are, from our side, we are trying to drive down the cost as much as possible by uh, either trying to rationalize the charging station, the capex, or going for BESS, which in an inverse way adds to the capex but pays off on a longer period and helps us pass on some of the savings to the customer. So there are multiple efforts being made by us on this. And also the third point I mentioned on the GST front, right? The GST right now is a straight 18%. So that's a straight 18% addition to the cost. Some people who have businesses or uh, who are able to take that GST input, they are taking advantage of it. But the common public or the larger population, they don't have that option, right? So that adds to the cost. So it is always a charging fee plus GST, and cost is so much. So that definitely tends to put people off. So we are engaging with the government on this as well. Yeah.
Akhil, if you can, you know better about the state of the Bescom chargers that are installed in Bangalore and around. I see a lot of them unavailable now, right? And a lot of them are being used by the commercial ones, commercial vehicles, and the public just can't simply charge there.
Correct. So I don't know if many people know about this. The Bescom chargers were actually installed out of pressure from various quarters, saying that there is a lot of charging infra that needs to be built. Why is the government not doing anything? Uh, you know, uh, so even though private players like us and other CPOs were building infrastructure, right? Bescom took a decision that we will build a few stations in Bescom properties, and that's what they did. I think they started the program quite some time back, 3-4 years back. It's only now that they've expanded to a few more stations. Uh, they them being a discom, for them, they don't, and also a government body, they don't have a profit motive out of this operation, right? So that is why it is priced at rock bottom prices. The cost of energy and some small service charges, all that they're levying. And because of this, the fleet operators uh, who typically run like 300, 400 kilometers at least every day, for them, every 10-20 paise in charging cost, it makes a huge difference on a fleet level. So they tend to kind of monopolize these chargers and use them as much as they can, which kind of uh, pushes out the common public from using them, because they don't have the guns available to charge their vehicles. So this is a sort of a consequence of the tariff that they've placed. So I hope that answers your question. I mean, is that what you wanted to know?
Yeah. Ankush has asked that do CPO apps have provision for adding customer GST detail to take that input credit advantage?
Yes, of course. See, our app, you can go to the profile. If you have registered on our app, you can go to the profile and you can add your GST details onto it. So as and when you charge, the invoice is automatically generated, and you will get an input credit.
Okay. Srishant has made a comment that DCFC cost increase affects highway user, but most usage is within the city limit, and home charging is where the saving is. So economics are more in the favor of consumer rather than the fleet or commercial owner who have to rely on the DC stations.
Correct. See, that's what we also try and tell a lot of our customers, right? Especially people who have bought EVs for the first time. uh, either they don't have facility to charge at home if they're living in an apartment and their society is giving them problems. They tend to use DC charging a lot, because of which their cost is skewed, right? But for people who are taking longer trips, who have home charging at home, we tell them you have to look at the blended cost. Like, let's say you start a trip at 100% and you do DC charging for maybe 40, 50, 60% or whatever. So you take the total cost of both AC and DC charging, and you consider how much kilometers you have done. So that will be a far lower figure. By my calculation, I think it will be hardly about 2 or 3 rupees per kilometer, depending on uh, which state you're in and what kind of power connection you're using at home or at your workplace. So a blended cost is what really works in terms of the. It's actually kind of counterproductive to our business. We tell our customers use our station for only what you need, only what
Yeah.
only what you need to reach your destination. You don't need to charge too much, right? And then many customers, look at me in a very weird way, saying, "Are you saying you don't want me to use your station too much?" All I'm saying is, it will be economical for you to use just what you need, right? And it's actually funny, the kind of reactions when I say this, because I do interact with customers a lot, and most of the questions are around this, especially the last few months when a lot of first-time EV owners are getting their cars. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I tell people also for DC charging, just charge what you need and move on.
No, but
Give.
unfortunately, people are in the mindset, either the manufacturers told them to do 100% charging for warranty purposes, or if there is no such warranty clause in some manufacturers, that natural tendency is to actually charge to 100%. People are used to charging their phones to 100% every morning, right? So the same kind of habits they carry on to charging their cars. So you don't need to do it. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of resource. Uh,
Yeah, those early Tata experience has ruined it for some, regarding charging 100% every time DC or AC. So Dinesh from Tamil Nadu has a question. He's looking to buy EV. That currently we see good enough charging points available, but the problem is reliability. Zeon is leading, but how is Zeon going to maintain its charging point, and what is your plan to improve reliability? And I would add a question to this: how do you maintain your charger? Like, do you have your own teams, or like you have some partnership? How do you do all that?
no, actually, our team, we call it the O&M team, which is operations and maintenance. So, which is actually a good chunk of our work headcount, right? Because uh, we are focused on uptime and reliability. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not saying we are 100% reliable. Things do fail, and what we are trying to be, how we are trying to be different is how fast we respond to these failures, right? How fast we can fix the charger. Like, let's say there is a uh, something to do with the hardware or something to do with the electrical infrastructure, how quickly we respond to it, that is what we continuously try and focus on. Since the question came from you, you're based in Tamil Nadu, Dinesh. So Tamil Nadu, for the most part, has like really good electrical infrastructure on the distribution side. There is hardly any downtime, and if at all there is going to be a downtime for a prolonged period, the discom informs us beforehand. So we do put out these kind of notifications on the app, which unfortunately a lot of people miss, and they go to the station and they see it's down. And this information is also circulated to the customer support team, so they don't have to call and find out what's happening. uh, Call the operations team and find out what's happening with such a station, because they already have the information ready, and they guide them to the nearest available charger in the area. So how we exactly maintain reliability is that we don't depend on any third party for service and maintenance. It's completely in house. We have fully trained technicians who attend, or we have actually forced our manufacturer or charger manufacturer partners to train them on uh, the chargers, the common issues that are possible that can cause downtime. So they are very well versed with the hardware, and it's just a matter of the travel time between the area where they're stationed to get to the charger and fix it. So we are trying to keep that turnaround time as anywhere between 2 hours, between 1 to 2 hours. So we have technicians stationed in. We have divided up our network in circles basically. So we have technicians stationed in each circle, and this circle, like I said, is we are trying to target like a 1 hour kind of a travel time for the technician to reach a particular station in his circle. So this is how we are trying to keep the network uptime as much as possible. That said, there are things beyond our control, like the power outages or scheduled maintenance from the discom. If this happens, like I mentioned earlier, like just a couple of days ago, there was a lot of thunderstorm and wind across Karnataka, and there are some power lines which went down. So these are the things that we are dependent on the discom to fix. We can't directly go and fix it ourselves, right? So yeah, this is a situation.
So, Akhil, since you have, mostly dense the network in south of India, do you not plan like to tackle these kind of outages, maybe some kind of mobile base kind of system wherever there is a power outage, it can travel there, and also that would also increase the reliability of the chargers and availability and uptime, right?
So the if
I
we
don't know
know,
if you guys have thought about it or
no,
any
we definitely
plans.
thought about it, and we were following a couple of companies who are doing this, right? Who are into mobile charging solutions. But
Hmm.
the problem is that it is a very tricky kind of a solution, right? Somebody may not be at a station. They'll say, I'm 40, 50 kilometers away, I'm low on charge, please come. And it is also operationally very intensive. Like you have to have people, you have to have vehicles, you have to have multiple vehicles for redundancy. It may not be just one customer who needs a charge somewhere. So it was, in our view, it was very operationally complex, so we didn't really take that up. But we
Hmm.
have identified certain stations in our network which are known for power outages, right? Which have very weak power distribution. So in these places, we have already added BESS to the stations, like on a limited capacity. Uh,
Hmm.
so these are not mobile; these are attached to the chargers. These are connected to the chargers, and so we know, going by data, how much power problems are there in a particular location. So it needs a solution, but that location also might be very badly needed by EV users, because there's a lot of traffic. uh, so we can't just say there is a power cut, so please wait till the power comes back. Again, that over a period of time, that will start creating problems, right? People will just stop taking their EVs to that particular city or town. So this is how we are kind of countering it.
Okay. Okay. And one more question, Akhil. What is your kind of caution or warning to the people who are trying to get into this business? What would be, your some for anybody who wants to get into this business?
See, I mentioned, I think earlier, the selection of hardware, the charger selection is the most critical, right? Second thing is location. Location determines 90% of your business investment. How quickly you will get your money out, because there are so many inquiries that we get. Um, People having land in a remote location which is not connected properly on highways, or which people don't go to. See, people are coming from this petrol pump mindset, right? They think
All right.
EVs, they all know that EVs are the future, and it's going to be like petrol pumps. So if I just set up a station in my land, I will get business. It doesn't work like that completely, right? In locations where which are not very convenient for users, they will have some limited usage. There will always be people who are looking for emergency charge and come there, but that investment will not be justified for that kind of usage. So the location and the charger hardware is very, very critical when you're looking to invest.
So Gokul wants you to install a charger in Mettur, Tamil Nadu. He is saying that they have none there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, please send me a DM. I'll connect you to our team. We'll take it up. Sorry, I didn't quite catch the name, Nikhil. Who was that?
Gokul, and he is about to buy a EV. And I don't think he wants himself, like, wants Zeon to focus into the Mettur or the Erode area for installing chargers.
Okay, got it. Yeah, we'll take it up. Tamil Nadu is like pretty much our uh, most dense state. So if there are blank spots there, we'll definitely look it up, and uh, we can work something out. So
Uh,
if the person can, if the gentleman can DM me, I'll we can take it further.
Vinay Kumar from Telangana has a question. Is there any planning possibility to reduce initial investment for a charging station? It is financially beneficial if we install one main power grid and a 5 plus charging dispenser with 10 plus charging guns.
5 plus power grid. I didn't quite hear you clearly, Nikhil.
Uh,
Can you repeat?
m- uh, like is He wants to ask about the planning or possibility to reduce the initial investment, and if you install one main power grid and have 5 dispenser with 10 guns.
Yeah, see, that is actually the template that we are working on. I don't know how many in the audience have seen some of our newer stations. We have built stations and we have a lot of upcoming stations in this capacity, which are in the range of something like 1 to about 2 megawatt in terms of total DC installed capacity across 10 to 15 or 16 guns. So we believe that this template is the future, especially on busy highways, and this is definitely viable, but not. But just a cautionary note: such a station will involve a large investment because obviously the capex, the power upstream infrastructure like the transformer panels and these kind of things will cost a lot for such a large capacity station. So your return might not be immediate, but it will definitely come because, as I mentioned, the vehicle count is increasing, and people will get confidence coming to such stations because they will always have a gun available. There won't be any like anxiety for gun availability at least. So this is the future for sure, but it's just that it's high capex kind of a project.
Right. Krishan Vardhan from Telangana, he owns a XCV 9S. Wants to ask what is the future planning for expanding charging station in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana? Also, what support is needed from government to increase charging infrastructure? I feel it should mandate companies to set up station based on their sales ratio. Companies should take responsibility of providing infrastructure to the consumers. I don't think you can mandate anyone, but yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with you. See, I firmly believe that a government should not mandate anything, right? It should just make an environment which is uh, helpful for all the stakeholders, like be it the customer, be it a CPO, be it an automaker, anyone, right? It should make the environment or the condition in a way that everybody is able to, uh, expand, or everybody is able to operate peacefully. So, in that sense, let me be very frank. We don't expect anything from the government because my firm belief is that government has no business being in business. There is a very old saying, right? So if governments are setting up stations, or if governments are making up mandates, it's not the right approach. It's not a good use of taxpayer money, I would say. So that said, government's involvement should be along certain standardization things like protocols. Like the connector, they should make 2 3 options, mandate 2 3 options, and leave it to the market to decide what to adopt. In terms of definitely the subsidy scheme is a good initiative, but I feel the way it has been implemented has not been very optimal. It does not really uh, push things the right way or in a very quick manner that it's supposed to do. So that is the role of government as far as I'm concerned. If they are able to process our power applications quickly, I'm more than happy. That is that is the only government support that we expect.
Right. Vishal Tiwari, he owns a Kar VV in Karnataka. He comments that congratulations to Zeon, you are one of the few CPU with the least complaints. Here are some of my questions. How do you plan to address the issue of charging deserts? And then about destination charges we have discussed. Do you plan to go fully green in procuring power? And how much of your components are designed or made in India, not just assembled?
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's a lot of points to discuss in one question. Okay. Uh, so coming to the first part, the dark spots, right? In Tamil Nadu, we have a good density of uh, chargers. In Kerala, also, it's pretty dense. Um, in Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana is where there are a lot of dark spots for us as a network, and uh, there are some parts of these 2 3 states where there are no chargers at all, but there is extreme demand from customers. So we are working on such corridors. The only thing that is holding us back is we are focused on giving customers a good experience, right? It is very easy for us to take empty land and set up stations, but that is not what we want to do. We want to have these stations set up in a good, safe location which has amenities, which the customers can actually take advantage of. In some of these parts that we are talking about, there are very few options of these kind of amenities available. So, worst case, there are a couple of stations that we have set up looking at commercial vehicles where we thought, they may not need any amenities. These kind of customers, they just want charging and move on. So we have set up a few stations that way. We can very easily do it in such corridors, but again, it is not an optimal solution. So we have some plans to kind of tackle this kind of problem. Let's see how that turns out, but we are definitely working on kind of filling the blank spots in many of these areas. I think there was also a question about sorry, the second part
Procuring green power, renewable power.
Yeah, so there are multiple options available to us on that front. There is something called open access, which allows us to procure power from private players of renewable energy. I think a couple of CPOs have done that, like Fortum or Glida has done that, with some other private producers of solar. So that way, there are options available to us. But when you look at the other way of doing it is by adding solar in the stations themselves is not completely feasible because many of these stations we are not able to produce adequate solar required to power like a high power station. Like let's say we have a 360 or a 200 kilowatt station which is well used, right? uh,
Akhil, there lots of people have asked this question, so I will add it here. That why don't you add solar above your station as a shade, even though it will provide minimal power, even if it's just sustaining something idle.
no, we have done it in a few stations. We just have not publicized it. That is something uh, that we have not done, but many people are unaware. I think we have about 20 25 stations which have solar above the roof. But like I said, it does not really produce enough energy, because typically in a kind of a 4 or a 6 gun kind of a charging station, you will maybe get about 25-30 kilowatt kind of solar capacity available on the roof. And we were talking about the Sankagiri station, right? So that has solar actually feeds, is a priority energy source for the battery. So that has 30 kilowatt of solar. But on a busy day, that is just not going to support the kind of power that is needed by the chargers, energy that is needed by the chargers. So that is a definite disadvantage, because you need something like a 100 plus kilowatt kind of solar generation capacity, which again, that translates into X amount of roof space, right? So typically we don't have that kind of roof space in many of our stations. So the other option is to just procure power from private producers, which comes at its own cost. And so that option is also there.
Right. And the third question was regarding, assembly or manufacturing of the components locally.
Of the chargers?
Yeah, all charger components, wire, guns, cables, what are being locally done in India
Oh,
right
right,
now?
right. I missed that part. Yeah, so to be very frank, if you look at a charger, the high value parts are actually the rectifiers, the components that convert AC to DC power. Uh, th- as of now, there are some initial, very early steps taken by Indian manufacturers like Quench. They have a localized, they have an indigenous 30 kilowatt rectifier which they have just developed. But apart from that, there are, I would say, about 99% of the rectifiers are imported. Right? We don't have the capability. Even if we have the capability, it is not cost effective, or it is not. The cost is so high that it does not make sense for charger manufacturers to actually procure locally. That is the unfortunate situation that we are in. So if you look at the value of the charger, the rectifier possibly is the most expensive part of it. Then you have other parts that are being manufactured locally, which are the cabinet, the power, the charger cabinet, the cables inside, the switchgear like the MCBs, SPDs. All these are manufactured locally. The guns are the next high value component of the charger, which again are mostly imported. But there have been some local attempts, like for example, KEI has started making guns. And we have to see, whether this market develops further. I think the government has mandated a lot of things to be manufactured locally for charger manufacturers to take advantage of the PME drive or the PLI schemes. So I think this localization percentage will increase in the months or the years to come in a big way.
Right. So, lots of people like Pratik and Min, they have asked you to focus on Maharashtra. So you have to do that now.
Yes. Feedback taken, everyone.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get
Yeah.
something going very soon.
So Sham has asked that many European CPOs have leaned heavily into subscription and loyalty tiers, and now some of Indian CPOs are doing so. What is the Xeon's thought process on it?
So we have, to be honest, we have experimented internally, or we have kind of developed a subscription model, but we never really pulled the trigger on that. We never really got going with it, because we just wanted to wait and watch and see how the customer behavior evolves. We are also watching other CPOs subscription programs and seeing data on how much people have actually started using them, right? But fundamentally, it looks like, in our assessment, it could be wrong, it could be right, but in our assessment, we think that a customer does not want to get tied down to a particular network. I would love it if A lot of our customers tell us. I mean, we have done some surveys on this, but if customers tell us that we give us a subscription model, we will charge only on Xeon, right? I think in our assessment, a lot of customers want the ability or the freedom to charge at any network or any charger across CPOs, which gives them that flexibility, right? So they don't want to be tied down to a particular network by paying a subscription and sort of locking themselves in with their money. Even across the example that you mentioned, Europe, also this subscription model is actually forced upon customers because the non-subscription tariff is so high that people are forced to take subscription, right? So that is something that a lot of customers are not liking it. They're kind of locked into it because they have no other choice, right? So we personally, I don't want to, or rather we don't want to go down that path because we think that customers have a right to choose whether it's Xeon, whether it is somebody else. They just uh, have to have that freedom to charge wherever they want. We will try our very best to be better than our competitors, but at the same time, we completely understand the customer's choice. If they don't want to charge at a particular station, they want to charge somewhere else because they like the food better, or it could be any reason. It is more easier for them in terms of their route, whatever it is. So we do. Coming back to the question, we do have some subscription ideas we are throwing around, but we have not really got that going. But in the reverse method, what we do have is a cashback method. This is something again that we have not publicized. I think we should probably do a better job of getting a message out. Every year what we do is we review the top, let's say 20, 30 or 50 customers who have used our network by energy. Then we straight away initiate a cashback to their account. And so we believe that this is this sort of a incentive that we need to give to our loyal customers rather than trying to lock their money in upfront. So the more you use a network, the more cashback you will get. So that is our way of going about it.
Maybe something like if you have used X amount of energy in a month, your next X amount are reduced by this price. Something like that, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of these ideas that we are playing around with. It's just that, like I mentioned, from 2020 to 2023, we had a certain population of users, right? And 23, 24 onwards, the user count just exploded. And we have to get these users accustomed to our network, accustomed to our advantages in terms of tech or features or whatever, or in terms of the large stations. And then when they get used to, or when they decide that using Xeon is more advantageous, then we will tell them, okay, this is how you have been loyal to us, so this is how we will uh, thank you for that kind of loyalty, in terms of the pricing, in terms of the energy usage, in terms of different slabs of energy usage and so on. So we have all these ideas playing around.
Right. So Ankush and Suhail and even myself want you to expand to the north. But Suhail has added an interesting comment that Xeon's presence is limited in north. For cities, it is understandable, but on highway, there is a lot of scope and requirement for fast charger like on DME or Samruddhi. So, does Xeon see this as an opportunity to install and run captive chargers without any partnership?
Yeah, see, we are keeping a close watch on all the upcoming like, corridors that are being built, or even the corridors that are being heavily used. In fact, one of the corridors that will go live in the short term is the the Pune to Solapur and Solapur to Hyderabad kind of corridors. We are getting a few stations going on that. As far as the expressway, the new expressways are concerned, I think the NHAI has very clear kind of guidelines that these kind of commercial establishments cannot just set up wherever they want, as is done on the existing network of highways, right? There are dedicated rest areas or service areas that have been identified by NHAI. So all the facilities will be there in that. So again, there are people. It's a tender process where somebody takes the tender for that entire service area as a whole, and then sort of subleases or sublets it to other people like food and beverage outlets, charging stations, petrol pumps. All these things will come up in that service area. So NHA is very clear. All the expressways, access controlled expressways, will come up in this way, which is why we have also not been able to. I mean, I think even other CPOs, right? They're not being able to really get infrastructure going on these newly built corridors or the upcoming corridors.
Yeah, Akhil, I want to come in at this particular point. Recently we did a very huge run on Samruddhi Mahamag, which is access controlled, as you know. So we also, saw this that this was an issue because of the tendering process. That not many chargers have come up. But alternative strategy, if the tendering process goes wrong or it is being, favored to some particular operator, is we have seen and we have experienced it this time, that as in Maharashtra there is no tolls for EV, right? So we could easily, get down immediately after the exit lane, and there we could find one or two chargers. So do you see this as a strategy if the tender process, goes wrong, where you can just set up a fast charger near the exit of the whatever segment you are, and then customers can go back if certain chargers or segments do not come up very early because of the tendering process.
Yeah, see, that is an idea that we have as a backup option, right? We will have something just outside the access control. We have that plan ready to go in some corridors, but it looks like the tendering process. We do keep talking to NHAI and the various stakeholders. Some busy corridors, it looks like the tendering is done and people are starting to set up. So this should change very quickly. So what will happen is if we set up something outside the access control and these rest areas come up, right? Nobody will use that station which came up outside, right? So this is something that we have to carefully plan. In the short term, there will be problems for EV owners on such highways, expressways.
No, but what it can give a added advantages. No, I'm not telling it will click everywhere, but certain of these access control roads are also connecting with major other highways. Just when you exit the highway, take a cut from that. So, do you think that it will also add, volume of commuters who also pass on around the same connecting routes?
100%, definitely it will. As you rightly said, there are a lot of these exits which connect to like the link roads or the link highways going to other parts. So infrastructure is required there also. So what I mentioned that if something comes up in the service area, this won't be used, was not applicable for such kind of locations. So such kind of locations, definitely there could be we can get going in a very quick manner. So that's definitely a good idea.
And Akhil, one more thing, as we have seen in the EV community, personally been using EVs from many years. So we can see in the community, new and new EV first time owners are coming in. And one usual complaint is, they have to download and install more than 20 different apps. So my first, segment of that would be, do you see that Google Map integration is going to, be a very important part of that, or the government comes up with a common platform for all the CPUs to integrate them for a single app access?
Yes, see, Google Maps integration is a very useful thing to have because we have seen a lot of customers, first time customers or the new EV owners search on Google Maps on their phones. They just type in EV station, and they get all kinds of results. So we have actually integrated with Google about 6 months back, which shows the live status of our stations. It will show up in your search results, and if you're using Android Auto, and you search on Google or CarPlay, and if you search on Maps, it will show our chargers en route. So it will also show the live connector status, how many connectors are available, whether it's two available, three available, whatever. It will show you a live status. It is updated every few seconds most. So it is a real time connect to Google that we have. Coming to the second part of your question, I think what the government has done in terms of the aggregator app is, I think, because a lot of people were talking about how they have to download so many apps. For example, if you're in the north, you won't have any requirement of a Zeon app, right? As of now, we do have a few stations, but once you're in the south, if you ask a southern uh, or a EV user who's based out in the 3-4 states that we are densely present in, uh, they're not using more than 2-3 apps on a regular basis. So I think the problem will get solved over time, because eventually people will, if they are frequenting a particular highway, like maybe 2-3 highways, if they're particularly driving regularly on, they will sort of get used to the stations. It will become the regular stop, and then eventually, if they have 10 apps, they will start deciding, I don't need this, I don't need that. So I'll just restrict myself to these regular stops, and just keep these um, the network providers.
Yeah.
So that said, I've been talking about this in various platforms, and the actual pain point is not having the apps, right? The actual pain point is having the wallets, like having money loaded onto each and every wallet, and that actually irritates people a lot, because you can uninstall an app very quickly, but what happens to your money, right? So that way, we have tried to make it as customer friendly as possible, right? We don't have an app deposit requirement, right? We sorry, a wallet deposit requirement. We You can use your wallet balance all the way to 1 rupee of your wallet balance, and if you don't want to use Xeon anymore, you can just use it down and then uninstall the app. Whereas a couple of other CPOs also adopted this because it's more customer friendly, but others have not, and that is when then people get irritated, saying, my money is stuck. I have to have so many apps because my wallet balance is there. This is not right. All these kind of discussions start evolving around it because there's a financial angle, uh, right? Because all the major CPOs have a good enough network that you in good well covered areas of the country, that you don't really need more than 2-3 CPOs for your regular runs. So this,
No, but Akhil, on that part also, I'll like to bring in a different angle to this discussion. Now these car companies are integrated their own, app or list of chargers in their car software, in-car software. So they are also integrating UPI into that. So how do you see, these problems getting solved if manufacturers really do take up good partnerships with all the CPOs and then integrate directly into the car software? Would you see that, in the coming time there would be less and less of this issue if OEMs directly start integrating UPI wallets into their in-car software? Like example, Tata Harrier, Tata has that, then Mahindra also has that, in-car software. So I'm talking on those lines.
right? So I, to be honest, we are yet to see very hard data among our customers as to how much of that feature they're using, right? I think many of the audience uh, are users of such vehicles which have that feature. So you can comment and let me know how many people are actually using that feature from in the car, right? uh, the actual game changer would be the UPI facility. So we have actually, what we have done is we have recently introduced uh, something called the auto top up. It has still got some glitches, but basically it creates a UPI mandate. Okay, it can be as low as 100 rupees is what we're eventually going to target. So let's say your wallet balance drops down 100 rupees in the middle of a charging session, you'll just charge up on top up for whatever preset amount you set as your mandate. So it will top up your, let's say you set it as a 100 rupee top up every time it drops below 100. So every time your balance goes below 100, it will top up for another 100. So this will actually make the process more convenient for users. Eventually, we are also planning to have, I mean, that is still a bit down the road because the experience is not that smooth in terms of the actual practicality. We want to have UPI enabled chargers themselves, like a UPI QR on the screen and all that. But what we're seeing is that actually slows down charging, the experience. A lot of our customers, they come to the station, they want to charge as soon as possible. So the minute you start introducing layers of things you need to input on the charger, right? It slows down the process. It leads to more potential failures. Like, let's say you are using the screen and you want to charge for 500, then you scan a QR code and then you pay, and then the charging starts, right? That process might take a few minutes. But instead, what we want, or what we think, and that customers would enjoy, is the actual UPI top up coupled with auto charge, right? So as soon as you come to a station and you plug in, right, you don't have anything to do with the app payment, nothing, right? You create a UPI mandate for auto top up, and you have auto charge enabled. You come to a station, plug in, the car starts charging within a few seconds, and your balance goes down, it'll automatically recharge. You have no intervention, right? So
No, but Akhil, if we see from the shoes of a common man who is becoming a first-time EV owner, see the manufacturers are lacking where they are not giving overview of all these CPU apps at the time of giving the delivery. So if we think from a shoes of a common man, he doesn't even know what the word auto charge means unless he comes into some community or group and then he asks these questions. So my point is can this be a real issue where we would CPOs would try to encourage owners of their EVs who have registered on their apps to immediately start that auto charge, or they can call and give them a review that we have this feature, and sir, you can do it, madam, you can do it the next time you'll have, because I see many naive questions in the EV community. They don't even know, some people, some Tata owners don't even know that they can use any other charger than Tata also. So these kind of lack of knowledge is there in the community. So CPUs work on that front where they could make aware the new owners that this is a feature where it will help you in the long run to make things simpler.
yes, definitely, of course. So we actually spend a lot of time and effort trying to publicize this feature. And in fact, you were saying that the common man uh, is not aware of auto charge. uh, Actually, we also thought along the same lines early on when we introduced a feature. Maybe the more uh, EV enthusiasts or the slightly nerdy types would actually look into this feature and enable it. But over time, we were surprised, and I can give you a stat. About 40% of all sessions every day are started on auto charge on the network. This is network wide, and it's not a small number. 40% is huge, especially considering the fact that a couple of car models don't support auto charge. If those cars had supported it, it would be like something like 55-60% easily, very easily. So that's the majority of the customers on our network would be using auto charge, right? So the common EV owner himself or herself is adopting it, uh, or using it on a day-to-day basis. So this is something that, but yeah, coming back to your point, awareness is a very important thing. And I used to be very active on my Twitter, now X profile. I think our people in the spaces have taken up that in a much more effective way, like Nikhil and Sagar. I used to be super active and trying to engage people in terms of why you're not doing this, why you're not doing that here on, all these kind of things. But awareness is something that really needs to improve. We are also talking to our automaker partners we are partnered with, saying that your delivery experience has to cover a lot of features. We are also trying to have a presence in dealerships. We have uh, like programs with certain automakers where we have delivery hampers, where we give these gift boxes with some vouchers and some material on what is auto charge, how to use a charger, how to find a charger. All these kind of things. We have detailed materials included in the delivery box, so that is given along with the car. So these are the kind of efforts that we are putting in to increase the awareness. But I think at a ground level, this has to come from the dealership, the salespeople, at the very beginning itself. So a lot of work needs to be done on this.
You should make a website page for that, whatever instructions you are providing in that hamper.
Yeah, we have a QR code which takes somebody to a YouTube video. Whoever scans it takes them to a
Oh,
YouTube video and gives them the do's and don'ts and all that.
okay. Awesome. So Shrestha has asked that what is the thought process that goes into upgrading existing locations?
Pretty simple. Once it hits a certain utilization, we just straight away upgrade it. There is no,
And with more and more cars, yeah.
yeah, we don't hesitate on that. We, if it needs a transformer, it needs a like the back end infrastructure needs to be improved, we don't hesitate at all. We just straight away go and do it.
Is another question is what is your opinion on multiple CPUs having charger within 100 meter of a location and at different pricing, competing on that?
No, like I said earlier, more charging infrastructure is good for everybody as a whole, right? Customers have a choice. We hope that choice is Xeon, but if people decide to use a certain CPO, then it should be their decision, right? So uh, this is always welcome. It's not like it's the same logic that the OMCs are also following, right? You nowadays you see multiple fuel pumps like within 100 meters of each other. Everybody are doing well, right? So the same logic here as well.
And his next question is any plans for multifunction charging hub like those are in Europe with multiple guns, cafes, and restaurants?
Yes,
I think that's Chitradurga is a good example
correct.
of that. I
That
think.
is the first of our such a station. We have about
Let's come to that station later. I want to have a
sure, sure,
discussion on that station
sure,
later.
sure. No problem.
Yeah. Just a second. I missed that question. Yeah. So Shyam has asked that how do you manage the complexity associated with so many variation in your charging hardware? Doesn't it make operational sense to standardize to a couple of OEMs?
Hmm. See, actually, this is a debate that we have internally, right? Do we should It's a continuous process, to be honest. If you look at examples in other countries, uh, for example, you take I don't know if people have heard of this company. It's called ENBW. There are very large network of fast
Yeah.
charging stations in Europe. All these years, they just stuck to one manufacturer, and it last I think a few months or maybe a few weeks back, they decided to onboard a second charger manufacturer after a very long time. So we also started in a very similar way. For a very long time, we had one manufacturer. Uh, it kept things simple from an operational and maintenance standpoint. That is for sure uh, the biggest advantage. But what happens is there are companies who are continuously innovating, companies who are giving slightly different features which are very interesting to us. So it makes sense for us to uh, partner with these companies and have their hardware also, because we think that it could be beneficial for us and our customer base. So that said, we have a kind of a very rigorous validation process. We can't just or rather we don't just onboard anybody and everybody into the process, right? So we do go through a field validation. We go through it's like a 3 to 6 month process before we finally decide whether to take on a new uh, manufacturer. But as of now, we have uh, two main sources of hardware domestically and two from the foreign partners. So we have kept it to four as a total, which my co-founder Karthik thinks that itself is a lot. But we have intentionally kind of kept the pool this way so that we are able to scale with all our partners, and also we are able to be in touch with what the charger manufacturer companies are doing. They're also continuously making changes. So there are advantages and disadvantages on the side. So we have to balance it out between having too few and too many.
Right. And I think people don't like your Mindra hardware. No one likes it. So that I have to say.
Yeah, well, see, that again is a pilot. To be fair, Mindra does innovate a lot. Just that we thought some of their solutions would work out in a very positive way. We are also continuously working with them to kind of improve the experience for our customers. So this feedback we have received. So point taken.
Okay. So Harshvardhan from Andhra Pradesh, he owns an Nexon 45. He's asking, is there any discount for Tata vehicles? I am seeing a banner in the Zeon app, but unable to claim it even with the correct number of chassis and mobile number. I think it is on the Tata.ev chargers only, not on all.
Correct,
So
correct.
that might be the reason.
So we have the co-branded uh, program with Tata Motors, Tata.ev. So this discount is applicable only in Tata.ev Xeon co-branded stations. So uh, I'm not sure if the person who asked the question tried at a non-co-branded station or a co-branded station, but definitely at a co-branded station, this discount would be passed on. And if there is some technical issue or something, please do let us know. You can let our customer care know, and we'll get it sorted out.
And you can DM me also. I can forward it to Akhil if there's anything.
Sure, sure.
Ramesh has asked you to provide shelter or shade at your charging points. This has been a comment that has been received multiple times, actually.
Yes, this feedback we have gotten from many people, especially uh, the last few weeks, where I think most of the country had a really bad heat wave. So yeah, we are actually building our new stations with canopy. Some of the older ones we are installing canopies to cover the vehicles. The early set of stations that we did for a good couple of years did not have these. So this is something that we are installing uh, in the new and some of the old stations. Yeah.
Right. So Manu has multiple questions. I think you know Manu also.
Of course.
Some sort of queuing mechanism at busy chargers. I think even Tesla is experimenting that recently. So
Yeah. See, the advantage with Tesla is they own the ecosystem, the entire ecosystem.
right.
So
They know how many cars are going to be there and at which time. Everything they know.
correct. Pretty soon, I think with Neuralink, they'll probably tell people to go to that charger also.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, I believe from our point of view, right? Uh, Queuing. What is the root cause of queuing? There are two main reasons. Either people really like that station, that location, and it does not have adequate capacity by way of power or by way of guns. Right. That is why queuing happens. So that is actually our issue to fix. At a root cause level, we need to enhance the capacity in terms of power and connectors so that we fix the queuing problem. Instead of trying to have a via media solution where we tell people how to queue, we don't want people to queue. We want you to get a gun as soon as you come. So if you are facing queuing in our station, that is our problem to fix, right? So the root cause is that we have to, as a company, that we have to enhance the capacity by way of power and connectors. So I don't think we'll be going for a queuing mechanism. Rather, we will just enhance the station.
Right. So many have asked this: how is Xeon financially stable? Is Xeon profitable? Because people keep hearing news and seeing about many CPOs raising funds and even some of the members leaving. So how is Xeon doing? If you can share any on that.
Right. So yeah, we're very proud to say this. We are. I mean, I don't mind disclosing it at all because, as many people might know, the uh, financial documents of companies registered in India are available in the public domain. People can just go and download them. So we are a profitable company. We have been profitable since the last 3 years. So we are actually, in fact, one of the few CPOs worldwide who are profitable. And this is because I believe that we have focused on playing to our strengths. Having good locations, having good quality hardware, good customer satisfaction, which sees our utilization going up higher and higher. So we don't believe in spending money just for the sake of spending money, or scaling just for the sake of scaling. We can I'm not faulting any of the companies who have raised money, but raising money comes with its own pressure. Like getting funding from an external investor, it comes with its own pressure of having to expand, having to show certain growth in terms of how many stations did you build with my money, what is the energy, what is happening. All these kind of things we have managed to avoid as a company, simply because we have been focusing very hard on the bottom line. Like I mentioned earlier in this spaces, that for us, the tariff contains a certain profit amount which we actually put back into the company to grow the network. So once we have that kind of a snowball effect, what people call, that the more the network grows, the more business you get, the more utilization happens, the more confidence people have in you as a network. That again translate into more revenues. So this is something that we have focused very hard on, and we have been very frugal with our money. Although buying expensive imported chargers is something that we have also done, but we have been very sort of conservative in how we set up stations, how our how the operational expenses occur. So this is something we keep a close eye on, our profitability. So which is why we are able to grow the network as a whole. And whenever people ask me about the tariff, we have to give them these long-winded answers. It's not that we are taking huge profits out of the charging business or anything. All the money is going back into the industry. So yeah.
Uday says that please try to shift the e-mandate attachment to final bill and note the auto violet load. This would make charging seamless when auto charge is used.
Understood. Are you referring? I think he's referring to the auto top up. I mentioned that there are a few bugs in that. We are getting them sorted out. So I think in the next 10-15 days, we'll have a smoother experience. So your point is also taken. We'll make that adjustment for the e-mandate. Yeah.
And Sirishant has mentioned that about Hyundai in-car payment. So he loves that doing with the Hyundai and static charger, and want Zeon to be integrated into that also.
Okay. Yeah. So that is pretty interesting, because like I asked earlier, we are trying to get some data on how many people are actually using it, right? So if more and more people are comfortable with this, then this is something we'll work towards, because customer convenience is something that is utmost for us. So if people find this comfortable, then definitely we'll have it implemented.
Right. Tushar is asking, does DC charging use dip during the rainy season? Like people keep asking about don't charge EVs in rain.
No, actually, no. I mean, see, but by and large, some of the corridors, or at least some of the areas that we see heavy rain, right? The traffic itself comes down. A lot of people don't really drive too much when it's like raining hard, heavily. So from a utilization standpoint, we see a drop on that front, but you can comfortably charge in the rain. If it's soaking wet also, there is no problem. In fact, if I can get a little bit technical, there are safety mechanisms in the charger which continuously monitors whether there's moisture in the connector. So the minute it detects moisture level, it will just stop the session.
So, Akhil, you touched upon the utilization point. So, I just wanted to have your, experience with the utilization in past 3-4 years. How has it been? Has it been increasing, not increasing, steady? Where are we in terms of utilization?
Yeah, it's definitely increased. See, there are different ways of measuring utilization for a CPO. One is, sorry if it's like a little boring, you can cut me off, Nikhil. But there is something called time-based utilization, like how long a connector has been occupied. Then there is a energy-based utilization, is self-explanatory, how much energy the charger is putting out. And then there is a network level utilization, which is average of your low performing stations and high performing and medium, everything put together. There is one utilization rate. So if I have to answer your question, the last let's say 2 years, we have seen almost a 4x increase in energy utilization on a network level, and time utilization is something that we closely look, because we don't want people spending time beyond necessary at a charger, right? So that is also something that has been going up, because many people want to charge to 100. Then you look at the network level, or rather the station level utilization, which in some very good, well utilized stations has been constantly going up, which is when we put in an upgrade.
Well, any figure you want to connect or associate with what you are saying?
Specifically, your time utilization and energy, what is it that you were looking for?
So let's say based on the capacity of charger, a 60 kilowatt charger can dispense this much unit in a day, and how much you are dispensing. I don't know, what do you call that kind of
Yeah, so
utilization?
that's energy utilization, what you're referring to. So there is a theoretical calculation anybody can easily do, right? Let's say there is a 60 kilowatt charger. Theoretically, it can run for 24 hours into 30 days, right? So that gives you X kilowatt hour that it can potentially dispense. Assuming power is there, everything is there, that is your theoretical capacity of the charger. That is what you can sell out of the charger, right? So practically, if you see globally, the average is something like 6 to 7% of a charger is utilized, and this is something that we see on our network as well. We are at about 8% utilization of a particular charger if you aggregate it across stations, and anything above, let's say 13-14% is when you will start seeing queues at the particular charger, because um, not everybody, I mean, you also know, right? You're a EV user. The usage is having a sort of a spike during weekends, holidays, and things like that. So that's when everybody wants to charge. When then there is off-peak hours during the day, middle of the day. So that's when the chargers are mostly lying idle. So uh, if you look at an aggregate basis, 15% is when you start queuing, and something like 5% would be below performing, uh, underperforming charger. 7 to 8% is considered to be a good average.
So yeah, that's great. If you're hitting 8%, I think it is really great. Next question in pertaining to the same question is there any way we can handle this spike or surge over the weekend and all? Do you have any idea, how can it be handled in a better way?
See, one very easy way is to just enhance the station, right? When I say
Well,
easy, basically,
that will bring down your utilization also, right?
no. So what will happen is this spike, when it happens, right? If there's not enough capacity, it will lead to queuing, which leads to customer dissatisfaction, right? We want to avoid that. I mentioned earlier, we don't want people to queue. So if the utilization is high enough, we upgrade. If then what will happen is, if we are able to See, there are solutions. Like I keep drooling over Tesla's ideas. They just bring a mega pack on a trailer truck, attach a few superchargers to cater to the peak demand, and then after the peak demand is gone, they just drive away. So
Exactly. That is what where I was alluding to. So you can have those kind of trucks which can cater to your, downtime of the station because of the power outages, and this could also be used during the surge or peak days.
true, yeah, that is a solution that can be done. Um, so what we actually expect, so one of the reasons we decided to go with BESS is because we thought we could probably explore this particular option with a BESS system, mount it on a vehicle and move it around and all that. But as I said, it's kind of operationally very intense. And we of course we will identify a bunch of stations where we think there could be crowding or queuing, and then we could deploy it in such stations. But on a network level, we'll need to have something like maybe 50 or 100 kind of number of vehicles, to do this. And that alone is a whole different operational game, right? Somebody has to manage all these things, ensure that things are going smooth. So this is something that we have not executed. We did think about it for sure, but because it involves a lot of operational challenges, we just didn't
Yeah,
really.
I
Yeah.
think you can take some kind of percentage. Let's say you have 250 stations. Maybe you can have a capacity of, let's say, 10%, which would come around 20 or 25 vehicles, right? Which would be able to cater to that peak demand as well as any downtime also.
Right. Yeah. So the uh, actual long-term solution is um, just that, what I mentioned earlier. We need to build stations which are capable of catering to the peak demand of every car that comes, and we need to have connectors available, giving peak power for every car that comes, right? So if we have that kind of station configuration sorted out, then we won't need this kind of a solution, at least for a year or two, until vehicles start picking up, right? But definitely for the short term, these kind of solutions will help. That's for sure.
Okay, so Ankush Ji
Okay,
has
so
asked
one
some questions. So some of your questions have been answered, Ankush, like on the transformer and the franchise. Of your question I will take. He has asked that how about Xeon exploring post pay like Tesla, wherein their app already has the customer's card detail and they charge after ending the charging session.
Yeah. See, uh, post pay is a bit tricky, right? We have had a couple of experiences with this. Very early on, we had a sort of a post pay system. I don't know if anybody in the audience has actually used it. This is back in 2020. Like it's not technically post pay. It is just that we would allow people to uh, run a negative balance and then pay it later, right? So that started becoming a bit tricky. And then couple of other CPOs started or had pilot programs. They had like co-branded debit cards, which would, or credit cards, which would allow you to sort of link your account to it and then settle it. But I think that ended in a bit of a disaster for these CPOs, because people didn't want to, or rather, people would go back and dispute the stations, and they ended up with a lot of outstanding money to be recovered. So this is still a bit tricky post-pay system. I think we're trying to solve that with the UPI mandate, because what the UPI mandate does is it blocks the money of your account, right? 100 rupees, it just blocks it. So there is assurance for us as an operator that yes, we will get paid, and there is assurance for the customer also that he's not uh, utilizing his credit card or on an open-ended basis or anything like that. So yeah.
And Akhil, multiple people have asked, and they keep asking me that when is Xeon going to aggregate on some other app like eHub, etc.
No, actually, we have integrated partially with many people, with many of the automakers. Let me be specific. So we have integrated with eHub, so you can find the chargers, you can see the status of the chargers, and eHub, Tata, uh, few other manufacturers we have done. With Mercedes, we have gone for the in-car payment system, like how the suggestions came across. That pilot is starting very soon. So aggregator is a bit no, while on paper it seems like a very natural thing to do. We just stayed away from it because we were not sure of whether we would be able to give the customer a proper experience, right? And there is always a bit of confusion amongst owners that let's say I am using X CPO app and I go to a Y CPO station through the app and try to start charging, and if there's a problem, or if the wallet gets deducted, or the payment there is a issue, who takes care of these disputes, whether X takes care or Y takes care. If there is a problem with starting the session, do I talk to X or do I talk to Y? All these kind of confusions start to occur, right? So we have kind of stayed away for these reasons. We're definitely not saying no, but once things stabilize, I think we may explore this a little more.
Sohail, you have anything to ask?
Yes, Akhil. So I'll just take you back slightly to the utilization question which Rakesh was mentioning. So definitely you might be having some data. So I'll ask in a multi-part question. So when a car comes to a charging, definitely you have the data of the car coming and what car is it. Am I correct?
Yes, to a certain extent, because in our when the user registers the first time on our app, we allow them to choose what make and model of the vehicle they're using. So it's completely user driven. So what happens is, if there are multiple users, sorry, the user has multiple cars, right? But he's using the same account. So sometimes we see that in our system it shows up as a Nexon, whereas it will be charging at something like 180 kilowatt, right? But that's when we know that this is not the actual uh, vehicle
Okay.
that is being charged. So it is user driven. But with auto charge, what happens is the vehicle has a unique ID, right? That is mapped in our system. So with auto charge, there is no ambiguity there. We know that this is the vehicle being charged for the. So I would say our uh, information is about 95% accurate in this case.
Okay. So my follow-up question would be, so when you're measuring utilization, do you check uh, repeat customers versus new customers? And since now state level data you might have access to, or like the ones that we can also provide, do you check how many of the new cars are actually coming to DC charging at Zeon, since you are the leading charging station in the south?
Yeah, of course. So we do track all the data very closely. We look at the Vahan data. We have a in-house analytics team which looks at this day in and day out. So we look at the Vahan data, and then how many registrations happen in a certain region. And like I mentioned earlier, we have the delivery hamper or the kit that we provide. So we know a new customer who has taken delivery of the car has registered on our app and has started using our stations. So we have all these details.
Sohail, anything to follow up on that?
So so my follow-up question for that would be, so since you track the utilizations across this particular metric, do you have any specific number that you can provide to us, that how many of the new cars are actually utilizing the DC fast chargers, if you have that particular metric with you?
Yeah, so I can speak for our network geography, right? In our geography, whatever cars are registered, we are approximately catering to about, let's say, about 18 to 20% of the new cars registered in the last 12 months. they have 18 to 20% of the cars that have been bought in the last 12 months have charged at our station.
Okay, so we are actually seeing a rise in DC charging
Yes,
across the
of
country.
course, of course, of course. Especially with the newer cars, right, which have more range, like the 70, 80 kilowatt hour packs. We are seeing that initially there was a school of thought saying that, these people will never use a DC charger because the range is so much. But what we are seeing is that they're actually driving more every day. No, so it also is a factor of whether they have charging at the destination or not. So these guys tend to charge up on the way at our stations and then go to the destination. Uh, so yeah, we definitely do have that pattern.
And if on the top of your mind, do you have the utilization metrics for city versus highway?
Yeah, it is about 80/20 across our network.
Okay.
That said, we don't have a very heavy city presence, to be honest. In cities like Bangalore, we do have some presence. Chennai, we do have a presence. Hyderabad, not so much. We are only building it up now. Uh, we always focused on the highway so far. So this number I'm giving you may not be applicable with other CPOs because we are not very well covered in cities.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Talking about the high capacity car, I have been seeing this trend that people tend to, charge at a higher SOC rather than, early vehicles going to the lower SOC. And they would reach at their destination at a comfortable, they can drive around for a couple of days, not having to charge at destination while reaching there. So this is the trend that is with the big capacity
Correct.
cars.
We have also observed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Car Kosam has asked that with EV adoption still facing range anxiety, are there plans for Zeon to build a guaranteed charging corridor with features like slot booking, 99% uptime, amenities, failover support, and integrate this into navigation platform? I would say that I hate the slot booking, and I am happy Zeon doesn't have it.
Yeah, see, again, we thought a lot about this, the slot booking, right? And we had actually, again, I'm coming back to the same logic. What is the root cause of slot booking, right? People want to be assured that they will get a gun or they will get a charger for their use. So the root cause of that is if you have too few connectors, or if the charger itself does not have enough power, right? So people are spending more time charging than they have to. So the root cause is that you don't have enough capacity. So if you have enough capacity by way of power and guns, right, you solve it. You don't need a slot booking at all. And uh, there is also this tricky part about maintaining the slot. People have booked slots but they don't turn up, or if they have slots and somebody is already there. These kind of all like issues are very sticky. So we just want to make it the whole process as simple as possible. So
Yeah. So, a couple of people have congratulated you on this, your decision to implement idle fees. Anything you want to add on how you come around that?
yeah, I mean, I'm happy we're getting positive feedback because a lot of people had very, very negative reactions.
You would get some abuse also when people get these
Yeah, yeah,
fees.
yeah. So we got some abuse for it also. See that there is a practical problem, right? We are implementing this idle fees in certain locations only. It's not network wide. These locations typically, what happens is these are located in malls or hotels where people are not able to immediately come and disconnect, right? They take some time. Let's say you're watching a movie and your car finishes charging, right? Even if it's an AC charger, you don't want to leave your movie and family and then come down. It will take like the whole thing will take 15-20 minutes. So people just ignore it and leave it there. So But the problem is we also have to cater to the people who actually need charge and are waiting, right? So it is not a straight it is not a very straightforward decision for us to implement this. It is a bit difficult because we see that there is a genuine reason why people cannot disconnect. Of course, there is always the case of people who are just not bothered, even if they're free, they don't want to come and uh, unplug it. So that category is also there, and that is a category that we are trying to discourage by introducing the um, idle fee.
Right.
Some people actually accused us of, actually told us that we are trying to profit out of this whole thing, but the idle fees are, it's like a token kind of a penalty sort of, and we don't really uh, gain much as a company by taking that money. It's just the message that we are trying to send across.
No, no, and that message is Akhil, very, very important in the long term for the etiquettes to be, set in amongst the EV owners community as well. See, it's not a one-sided game, right? We as a community of owners are also at fault, of not, thinking about the next potential fellow EV owner that is about to come. So I am absolutely, happy with whatever Xeon is doing. It may be harsh in the initial phase for a few owners who don't care much about others, but yeah, definitely that would be very, very good for the overall messaging for the community.
Correct. That's what we're trying to convey. It's not about the money.
And quite interesting that all the CPOs in India, Tesla was the first one to have idle fees in India. So that's something interesting happened with them.
See, Nikhil, just on a lighter note, whatever Tesla is doing, that is fine. But certain of these practices, need to come across from the CPOs as well. So it is a very welcome step from even Xeon. That
Yes,
not only from a
absolutely. I have
OEM kind
been,
of Tesla, but also from CPO standalone point of view. These things
I
should
have,
come in and kick in very well.
I have asked Akhil multiple times about that in past.
Yeah.
So good that it's finally rolling through. I keep asking Akhil many things. I'm like, he will get bored of me or angry on me someday, and we will be like, yeah, go away.
No, no, never, never, Nikhil.
And just on a very serious note, not only CPOs but who in the times to come, see, the EV community is very vocal. So even the OEM, the car manufacturers, those who will be proactive, right, they will get a lot of constructive feedback from the EV community, because they are not like the average Joes of the ICE community, where they will be motivated enough to give any feedback. But EV owners, personally, I'll tell you from my point of view that it, if any OEM or any CPO is proactive enough, they will get a lot of benefit, on a constructive side. So Akhil, that is fantastic from your end, that you are taking in all these feedbacks, and I hope rest of the CPOs also be proactive enough.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the whole idea behind me reaching out to Nikhil and doing this. See, because we do a lot of customer survey, and my co-founders and we make it a practice to spend at least a couple of days at various charging stations. We get a lot of feedback from the ground, but this is part of outreach that we are trying to do, to get more and more feedback about where we are going wrong, what can we do better. So this set of Nikhil has a very uh, sort of a, like a power user kind of a follower fan base, right? So the feedback is very much on point, and I don't have to explain things from the basic level, uh, like a new EV owner would, be asking. So these kind of evolved discussions are something that we are trying to do more and more. So yeah.
Yeah, most people are geeks here. So, um, Manu has a suggestion, and people in general to put some signage on highway, and especially in the hilly charging station that you have, regarding to suggest people to not charge above 90%.
So this is something.
I think
This is something.
yeah, Karthik made a post about that recently also, I think.
Yeah. In fact, that was the post that actually got us that feedback. People started asking us, "You don't want to use a, you don't want us to use a station, is it? Why don't you want us to charge to 100?" So he said, so that is a very different sort of a perspective. That we also didn't think about it like that. But the signage thing is something that has been our weakness. Let me admit, we don't have enough signage at many of our stations. This is something that we didn't really factor in when we were building out a good chunk of the early stations, but we are addressing it. I think you must have seen photos of our newer stations where we have like really good signage and branding and visibility for it's also important in a way that even people who are thinking of getting EV but they still have that doubt about charging infrastructure availability, they see all these signboards, they'll get confidence even if they don't know about it, right? They'll see, okay, there is a station here. So that actually plays a big part. We are rectifying that station by station.
Akhil, are you even thinking to go on time-based charging rather than energy-based charging?
Actually, yeah. This question has a link to the previous question that came up. So beyond 85%, we actually send out a notification. If your car has crossed 85, we send a notification to your phone saying that you have crossed 85. Your charging will slow down. You will be wasting your time. Please stop charging if you don't need that additional range. Okay, so we have seen it play a part, but it's not fully effective enough, which is why we have been experimenting a little bit with time-based. What we're thinking is maybe after 85 or 90%, we'll switch to a time-based tariff. But that again is a very sensitive sort of approach that people might not like it. So we have to sort of bring about more and more awareness before actually implementing it, because all of a sudden people will be used to the energy based tariff, and then they suddenly see a big bill. Then they will obviously they'll not be happy about it, right? So we have to bring more and more awareness that saying, this is how it is, this is how it is. So please try and charge only as much as you need, or not go beyond 85-90% if you don't need it. So we have to keep hammering that message. Again, support of the community would be most useful there. Also, we are also trying to do our part. So this is something that we may introduce if all these efforts fail and we don't see a major improvement on the ground. So yeah, we have this thinking in place.
So Hemant, he owns an Nexon EV Max in Madhya Pradesh. He is asking, not specific to Zeon. Why do we usually get issues after charging our EV on a fast charger? Not talking about Xeon charger, but some other providers. Where after charging our car, we face a weird issue like HV error or not going from neutral to drive or SOC spikes, things like that. Uh, I think it is mainly to do with some of charging hardware we saw with BPCL etc. and something to do with the car also.
See, 90% of this problem is to do with the car, actually, right? Whether it is Xeon, whether it is any of the OMC, or whether it is any of the private CPO. The minute you start charging, right, the charger becomes like a slave to the car. It will do whatever the car tells it to do, right? There is very little that the charger can cause in terms of errors on the vehicle. That said, there is about a 10% probability that if the charger is like so badly designed in terms of the software or the onboard safety controls, that it can actually cause a vehicle error, right? So the vehicle itself nowadays, most of the vehicles have like really good quality uh, charge controllers on board, or safety mechanisms in the BMS that it will stop the minute it detects something abnormal happening. So it's mostly to do with the car. and how it interprets the charging.
There are some hardware people have complained about that where if you plug in where if you plug in car, it will be the charger will trip, but if you go to the car setting and lower the amperage, then it will work fine.
Yeah, so that is again to do with the charger, right? If the charger rating, or if there is like the controller in the charger itself is not able to, or let's say the power electronics in the charger are not able to match what the car wants to do, it will again trip up a safety mechanism and it will just stop, right? So if they turn down the demand from the vehicle, like this is a favorite topic, we have talked about it, like the Mahindras have that option. If they're able to go to a lower power setting and the charger is able to deliver that, then it goes smoothly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Akhil, one more thing. I don't know how important you might think it is, but maybe Nikhil and me and many few from here, we love what you do for the charging curves. So if on a lighter note, you could hunt down this new cars and new EVs and just bring out a faster charging curve, it will make job of Nikhil much easier. That I'm sure of.
No, so this is actually something that we started doing, right? We started putting out charging curves uh, on our social media handles, and in fact, I think we were the first to have it in the app itself to show the charging curve as the session is happening. Uh, so for the newer cars, as and when it comes, we talk to the automakers. We ask them, can we get so what happens is, before the cars are even launched, a lot of the cars are tested on our network and other networks as well. So we do see the charge curves, but we don't really know whether that's the actual production specification, right? So we don't know what to do with the data. So we just reference it and leave it. When the car is commercially launched, we try to get hold of a vehicle from the manufacturer, and we do the charge curve on that. What has happened is, of late, a lot of the vehicles have been either high amperage vehicles, which are maybe 2, 3-year-old, 4-year-old chargers don't support or not able to meet that amperage. So we need to test the vehicles at a certain set of chargers. So we need to coordinate with the manufacturers, get the cars tested at these chargers. Sometimes they send the car with very high SOC, so it's useless for us to put a charge curve. So these these kind of practical problems are there at
Um,
our end, but we try to make it.
you know, me, Sagar, and all, we try to very hard try to locate a charger which can match the car and also find a owner who can drive to the lower SOC. It's a kind of headache.
No, so
No, Akhil, we take a lot of efforts for that, to bring out to the community. But you have got all the tools, so I would request you to, kind of take some extra efforts, or maybe assign a single person who could, turn out, make this as a cult of, the passionate TV community. So,
no,
so that
definitely,
is my
definitely.
kind of request.
So what we have done is we have set up a large test station in our Bangalore office, which has got a very high amp and high power capacity chargers. So this is specifically meant for test vehicles, charge curve, these kind of things. Uh, so all we need to do is get the manufacturer support. To be very honest, some of the manufacturers, when we ask them for vehicles for charge curve testing, they don't want to send it because they are afraid that it might be a negative thing for them. So we have to depend on the dealer, or we have to depend on certain
So don't worry,
components.
Akhil. We'll take of such care of such manufacturers who are, in such a state of defensiveness. So definitely, we'll hunt such owners from the community down, and we'll try to ask them for a community contribution.
No, we have a certain pool of regular users, right? But it's just that take getting a vehicle at the right SOC at the right station, it takes a bit of time. So definitely is something that will get improved in the days to come, because we'll be putting out more and more larger stations and high capacity chargers. So even if a customer comes for his regular charging, we also do this. When a customer comes and we notice that he is plugged in at 10 or 15%, our operations team actually calls the customer and tells them, your session is free of charge. Please don't stop at 85. We want like a full charge curve. So we tell them.
So nice, so nice. I
So
love it. What you're doing.
so this
So
also
nice.
happens.
Okay, so yeah, now let's move on our discussion to Chitradurga station, my favorite one. Uh, so it has four different charging hardware, Akhil, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's first you describe the Chem Power one. It has four guns. What are its specs?
So that is our standard Kempower power unit. It's a 200 kilowatt power unit. Uh, from our other Kempower installations, it differs slightly because we have two numbers of fewer connectors. In our other Kempower locations, we have 6, but here we went with 4 because we wanted to have the power unit delivering maximum amps to every gun. So that is not possible with more than 4. So we restricted it to 4, unlike other sites.
And each gun is capable of 400 ampere.
400 amps, yes.
Right. And the second hardware is a tritium one. I think first in India, is it?
Technically, no, because Glida, before when they were Photom, they had installed.
Oh yes, they did with MG. Yes, I remember
Yeah,
that.
technically not the first. So, but I think that was hardly something like 5 or 6 chargers, and then they didn't go with tritium anymore. And that was like a very old like configuration of charger. I think that was a 50 kilowatt dual gun.
Yeah. Right.
So for this particular effort, or for this particular product range, yes, it is the first in India. Yeah.
And is 300 kilowatt delivering to four guns. Each gun is capable of what ampere?
This is a 500 amp liquid cooled cable. Yeah.
Right. You told me that each is restricted to 250 kilowatt.
Correct. So that has a we have configured it this way because we can have that flexibility as to how much each dispenser can take what kind of power from the power unit. So we have configured it this way.
Okay. And the third hardware is the Siemens one. I think 400 ampere. 240 kilowatt, right?
180.
180. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a regular
And
standalone charger.
and the hottest in the market, Alpitronic 400 kilowatt, 600 ampere boost. So tell us about that, everything that you can.
Yeah. So this is a very recent development. Happy to say that we are Alpatronic launch customer in India, and I don't know if people know about Alpatronic as a company, but they dominate Europe in a almost in a total manner. Like if you travel around Germany or Italy, you will see only Alpatronic hardware across CPOs, and they are known to be, along with Kempower, they are known to be a very high quality, highly reliable charger manufacturer. So they are entering India in a big way. They want to locally manufacture and uh, you know cater to the local market here. This is the first time outside of Italy. I mean, they have a base in US also, but apart from US and Italy, this is the first other third country that they are actually setting up base in. So they're very serious about it, and they identified us as a partner to kick off their operations here. So we are going to be having more Alpatronic hardware in the months to come. This is part of the pilot program where they gave us the charger to test out and see how it performs in Indian conditions with Indian vehicles. So this is again like a 400 kilowatt charger. It's got like power sharing in multiples of 100 kilowatt. So really excited, and we have seen about 2 months worth of data, and it's been working fantastic.
So is this the reason why that Alpitronic is priced lower than the other ones? Because it kind of doesn't make sense to have a 400 kilowatt at 18 and then you have the other hardware at 23.
So you actually looked it up.
Of course.
Wait,
I mean, why would a Tiago guy, why won't he would plug at Alpitronic rather than at Camp Power?
because a Tiago can take 400 kilowatt, right? So
Yeah, obviously. People think that. They absolutely think that.
no, but jokes apart, uh, we priced it this way because it so we don't own the charger. There is no uh, profit angle for us. It's only a purely academic exercise that we are looking at out of this charger, right? So we're just looking at basic costs in terms of tariff for this charger. So
No, that part I got that Alpitronic has given you that charger, but even from a utilization point of view, is that a manned station?
sorry, it's not a manned station. No.
So like why won't a couple of lower like Nexon or something like car, why won't they occupy that, and Tesla or some Mercedes etc. they have to hook that 400 ampere gun.
No, so that is what actually. So we intentionally didn't publicize the difference between this charger and the other chargers in the station because we wanted to see how customers would react. Right? We wanted to see the customer behavior. What charger are they choosing? Whether it's purely price driven. Because in this one station we have multiple chargers, multiple guns. We also wanted to observe and see whether people are actually paying attention to the price and plugging it in here. And you would be surprised that most of the people are not even looking at the price. They just straight away go to the Kempower Tritium or the Siemens and plug it in there. It's only the more people who are actually paying attention on the app, the station details, that they realize, okay, we have a 400 kilowatt charger here, which is priced lower, so let me try that. But so far, many people have not really looked at it. I mean, they prefer the other chargers, going by the behavior that we're seeing.
Okay. So, what was the thinking to have such different hardwares on a single location? Why didn't you just go all Kempower or all Siemens or all Tritium? What was the thinking here?
See, like I mentioned earlier, every manufacturer has their advantages, disadvantages in the product, right? So if you look at if you're specifically asking about the thought process, right? Kempower, we did it because Kempower is one of the best in terms of the dispenser solutions. It is probably the best in the world when you look at the hardware and the experience and the design and everything. So even the customers who use it appreciate it without even if they're a layman. So it makes sense for us to deploy Kempower in such large stations. So that was the decision behind four guns for Kempower, right? The next would be Tritium. So Tritium is again, like I said, this is the first in the product line. As you know, Exicom is now Exicom owns Tritium, right? So they are trying to bring Tritium into India in a big way. So this is again, we'll have a few chargers from Tritium at some of our stations. So we wanted to test out this charger where we have adequate power from the grid and everything. So that was the reason why we installed Tritium. Siemens was because when we are doing these dispenser systems, what we see is that people are not accustomed to this power sharing in dispenser units, right? We see the feedback, we take the feedback saying that, uh, you know, three cars are charging, but you're advertising each dispenser as, let's say, 200 kilowatt, but I'm getting only 80 or 100 kilowatt. Why is this the case? So there is a certain category, that they need to sort of uh, be aware that if there are multiple vehicles charging from the same charger, from the same dispenser power unit, that there will be some power sharing happening, just like how 120 kilowatt splits into two. But at some level, many people are not bothered to learn all these complexities. They don't want to care. They don't care about whether two cars are plugged in, one car is plugged in, whatever. They want what is advertised on the charger. So what we did was we thought we'll have a high power standalone charger where the maximum power sharing happens between only two guns. So if somebody is concerned about using a dispenser system, thinking that if some other car comes in, my power will get shared in a way that I cannot predict, they will use the standalone charger. So that's when. And yeah, Alpatronic, as I mentioned, the pilot. So yeah.
Priyan's just told me that Alpitronic has a 50 kilowatt charger already existing, so yours is not the first.
Yeah, but 50 kilowatt in my books is not really like a high power charger, right? So
Yeah, I mean, high power it is the first, but as a company, it's a second.
yeah, but I think that is also a pilot charger. As a proper launch customer, we are the first. That's what I meant. We are actually the first
So,
to buy from them.
so are there more such stations to come up with such a diverse range of hardware and good locations?
Yeah, so this particular station is about 1.2 megawatt. So we have about 14 such stations in the pipeline.
How much is the load charge on that?
How much is the, sorry?
I'm like 1.2 megawatt. You have taken load connection. How much would be the fixed charges alone on that station?
Right. So in Karnataka, it's 200 per kilowatt. So you can do the math. It's about 2.5 lakhs.
Oh, oh wow.
Yeah.
But that station sees good use, right? You keep sending me some things, and it's a quite busy one.
Correct, correct. So see, the fixed charges gets offset by the utilization. So the station that we are planning will have to be in high utilization station like areas, right? Otherwise, it makes no sense for us to have such a large connection where people may not charge. So the only way we can offset that fixed charge is by putting it in heavily used areas.
Right.
One
Because
question on that one, right? Hey, Akhil. So this you were talking about the complexity of the hardware and dispenser and all, right? I feel that is just the tip of the iceberg, right? I feel over the years, like in 2022 when I bought my ZSEV and all of that, it was just the complexity of the dual gun, right? Like I plug into a 60 kilowatt, then I'll get like 30-30, right? That was the only complexity there. But from then on, the complexity has gone multifold, right? Like now we are talking about 400 volt versus 800 volt. We are talking about dispenser. We are talking about amp rating on the cables, right? So while we have been like EV geeks, we have been learning through the process. So we understand, right? These 4 or 5 layers. The new folks, right? They are like completely flummoxed, right? Like a B6 plugs in and he gets 88 kilowatt, right? Which is like standard 200 amp, and they are like they just don't know anything about it, right? Like, but what is your thought process around solving this complexity, right? Like, and this will be more and more with your hubs and dispensers. So how are you thinking about this long term?
No, exactly. So at a very general level, we can't expect the customer also to learn all these things, right? They're not, as you said, they're not really geeks or anything. So the onus is on us to remove the complexity from the system, from the process. So which is why these this hub and the hubs to come are designed in a way that the customer doesn't have to bother. Because if you see, every charger in this station is 400 amp capable. You plug in, you get 400 amp, right? You don't have to bother whether what amp rating it is, what is going on. Maximum that can happen is that if 2-3 cars come in or are already charging, they're sharing power, so you just go to the next the charger next to it and then you charge up, which is like, I think, pretty easy for people to decide. They see like 3 cars using a particular charger and they see an empty charger next to it, they will obviously go for the empty charger, right? So this is the only decision making we want the customer to undergo. Like, choose the charger, but whatever charger you choose, you'll get the max power.
Okay, any plans of distinguishing this in the app? Like for example, like that standalone charger, the 400 kilowatt Alpitronics, that's just two guns, right? So then it's like logical that okay, maybe it'll split by two. But if you have like 5 guns, 6 guns, the Kempower one and all, that's where it gets confusing. Where it says 200 kilowatt, 160 kilowatt. Like, is is there a way to educate through the app as well, like this stuff?
Yeah, we can put in the amp ratings next to the connectors. It's a fairly straightforward thing to do.
Hmm.
But again, like I said, the reason why we decided not to go with too many guns on our dispenser system is that power would get shared, and then people would start noticing power would get shared too much. So you can't have a certain level of power shared across too many guns, right? Because that would kind
Right.
of ruin the experience. That is what is happening in some of our early large stations.
Yeah, 30 kilowatt on a like a 200 kilowatt. This one, right? Like that's.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So people don't understand it. So the way to fix it is, again, going back to what I said earlier, you just had to take that complexity or that ambiguity out. You just add more power, add more amps, keep the guns at an optimal level, and the thing will become the whole process will become much more smoother.
Yeah, but
Right.
Akhil, you said you can put on the amp ratings on the app. So I don't know how many people will try to utilize that into their calculations of how long they want to stay and what how much their car is
You know,
capable of. Yeah. So if you
Sagar, instead of amp
yeah.
rating, I would say that like Xeon has a charger number, say 1331. It has two guns below. You are writing on each gun 400 or 200 kilowatt. Instead of writing for each gun, write on the above charger heading and just have gun one and gun two.
Exactly.
I think
Exactly. That would help in
that would be more
educating. Yeah.
understandable to
Yeah.
people.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
Hey, Akhil, you just mentioned that for the 1 megawatt charger, I don't know what is the location. Your fixed charges are like 200 rupees per kV, which is to use. So, is that the station where you have put up the base as well?
No, 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 no. This is not. So that we will be doing best here eventually, but it's more of a backup for power interruptions because there are some interruptions that could occur. So it is more of a protection or a backup system for that. But 200 per kilowatt is actually on the low, at a medium level. If you look at the tariff in some of the other states like Tamil Nadu, is going to go to 700 per kilowatt next year.
Oh my God. So, do you not think that the adding BESS and taking the lesser sanction load would kind of be beneficial, and it would be a good use case
We
for
we we kind
tying
of
it up with
discussed this,
BESS?
Rakesh, earlier. We discussed this earlier.
Sorry. So yeah, I may not have heard that.
Yeah. Akhil, you told about that LP-Tronic doing power share in the steps of 100 kilowatt or 50 kilowatt? Because site says their website says 50 kilowatt.
No, so it works a bit differently. What will happen is if two vehicles are connected, right? The first increment is in the minimum each vehicle will get is 100 kilowatt. The first 100 kilowatt is automatically allocated. Further on, there will be a step of 50 kilowatt each.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they work a bit differently compared to other chargers.
Right, right. Got it. And that Siemens one doing power sharing with steps of 30?
Correct, correct.
Okay.
One more thing on the hubs, right? And it's slightly connected to the BESS. I think since you have a large pipeline coming up, Akhil, at least in the renewable industry, one of the constraints for both solar and BESS is the grid connectivity, right? Like to get the connection to the ISTS grid and all of that. Now, since you are anyway kind of doing that work and hooking up to the grid, I don't know to what part of the grid, I surely not ISTS, but you're connecting to the grid. Now, one is of course the power protection thing where if there's a power failure, you support with that. But the other aspect is like one is fixed charge. The other third one is like the merchant sales, right? Like, because you have, at least from what I'm seeing, you have a lot of sales that happen during the daytime, and slightly lesser during, let's say, the evening time. I don't know how much it is backed by data, but isn't there an opportunity to kind of sell back power in the peak time, like 4 to 8, that kind of time, and have some additional revenue there?
Yeah, so this is also something that we have worked out. Again, this is like state to state, this policy varies because a lot of states don't allow uh, export at a certain rate. I mean, the process is called exporting back to the grid, right? Uh, of course, if you have rooftop solar, it's a pretty straightforward process. They've all kind of approved it. But in this case, only a couple of states have approved this actual process. Maybe 3 states. I think a couple of states in North also have approved the process of selling power back to the grid, because the maximum demand once the solar hours are over is actually the 5 to 7, 8 kind of period, which is when uh, there is a huge drop off in renewables, and all the coal fired and thermal plants kick in. So in that period, they're actually offering private producers or storage operators to sell back power to the grid in those times. And it, it's a pretty interesting and evolving sort of a idea, but definitely something that we're keeping an eye on. And it has a lot of potential for us as a revenue source.
Cool, cool. Makes sense. Thank you.
Tej Singh, do you have any questions? I think we would wrap after that.
Yeah, thanks. Good question. First one may sound stupid, but please ignore it in case. So, why don't we have multiple guns and then keep on activating when it is charging, and so go in the sequence. Once one car achieves say 90% of charge, reduce the power on that one, and then start charging the next one. And the second question is, are the Indian, are we having these BES charging stations so that in case the grid is off, uh, that charging station or the BES system can be used to charge the cars?
I think Tej, the first question you describe is what dispenser setup is, and the second one, there are some pilot sites in all over India. Zeon had some. Charge I think has couple, and then Geo recently has their first best site. Akhil, you can respond.
Yeah, so like Nikhil said, multiple CPOs, including us, we are installing best powered stations. So that is in the pipeline. And I think the numbers of such stations would actually grow. So this is definitely something that will happen, or it's already happening.
Is there any exploration on sodium ion there, Akhil? Like I know till now LFP is the pack, but is sodium ion on the horizon there?
To be honest, I'm not very sure, because we've been hearing a lot about it. CATL is making a lot of announcements, but so far, whatever players are there in India in terms of the best ecosystem are very comfortable with LFP. They have the infrastructure, they have the mechanism to mass produce a lot of LFP based best systems. So there is a bit of uncertainty around how exactly this will kick off. But I'm actually personally hoping that it does get a lot of acceptance, because then it would drive down the cost in a big way. So it would make things easy.
Yeah, 50%, right? Like that's the estimate, right? Like 50% lower than NFP.
Correct. And then, on a larger scheme of things, you can also talk about how it doesn't use rare earth materials and this and that. Because all the anti that Robbie keeps talking about the achievement in Nigeria or Somalia mining and all that stuff. So yeah, we can kind of very easily get away from all that.
Yeah, there's no winning
Yeah,
them.
we have been hearing.
Akhil, anyone saying that, please redirect them to my DP, please. Yeah.
No, that's what I meant earlier. I used to argue a lot about this on Twitter early days, but since you started off, I kind of like, this guy does a better job than me. So I'm just gonna keep quiet. I'll redirect everything to you.
Thank you.
Selvad, do you have anything to ask?
Hi, Akhil.
Hi, Selva.
Hi. This may be very early in the ecosystem to ask this question, but any ideas of you installing chargers in the Himachal area or the northeastern corridor? Because I see no CPUs taken the necessary steps or the even the steps to start a charger there. That is my simple and only one question I have.
See, again, it's a as far as Himachal and the Himalayan areas are concerned, the power infra is a big requirement, right? I think there is still a lot of difficulties there in terms of uh, getting adequate power, reliability. I mean, I don't want to single out that region. We have that problem in the hilly areas in the south itself, right? We have a lot of problems with voltage, with downtime, and everything. So it is a bit challenging terrain that those places, but it is sorely required.
And I think especially about the eastern area, Odisha side, they are seeing a lot of EV adoption, but private CPO side has been empty there. So, any plans to go that side?
So whatever expansion we are doing, right, it has to be a bit geographic because we cannot build stations in like sort of islands, right? Only if there's a proper network, people will actually start getting that acceptance to use the our network. So once
No,
we are
no, it's not about only your network, Akhil. We had done a recent analysis also
right,
a month back, and we could see the the area, the central belt above Nagpur and till parts of Odisha and Chhattisgarh. Where we could see a region where it is completely being ignored by private CPOs. Despite seeing very good community of EV owners from there who are really telling on the groups also or the community also that we don't see as much of infra that you are enjoying, let us say in Maharashtra or down south. So there is a void. So I think this question was more towards that focus point.
understood. Understood. Okay.
Yes, what I was asking is even if you have some 5 to 10 chargers of 60 kilowatt, very simple on 50 or 60 kilowatt. I may make it sound like a simple one, but it may take you very long, tedious process. But I think you will get a first mover advantage over there also, like what you did in south this area, Coimbatore, like Tamil Nadu area.
Right. So yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, we have been tracking the vehicle sales and the Vahan data.
Because as I was, I used to charge at Zeon every now and then. Like I'm a regular user at Zeon. Whenever I open the map, you see we are only covering the western side and the southern side. We are very large in charges. But if we see the eastern side, there is no charges available anywhere.
Correct.
So that is my a basic request.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
what I was getting to is, of course, your point is valid. We can get started with uh, a small set of stations in these central regions. It's relatively not that hard to do. But why we haven't done it so far is that we thought we should grow the network with linkage to the rest of the network, right? So once we do Andhra, Telangana, the plan was to move into like Madhya Pradesh and Odisha and these areas. Unfortunately, the the pace that we were able to grow into these states like Andhra, Telangana has been a bit slow. It's not gone as fast as we liked, but definitely that's on the map. And as far as Northeast is concerned, at some event I happened to meet a couple of CPOs in the Northeast. They seem to be doing some good work. Somebody out of Guwahati is
Yeah, there are. I met them too at Delhi at event. But
seems
this
to be doing
central and the eastern area, this people say that the OMCs work here better than the private ones.
yeah. So that is the where the advantage OMCs have, right? They have the existing footprint across the country. So it's something for us to think about as well.
No, no, and what
Point taken.
happens is, Akhil, like Salwa said, right? You already enjoyed the success of first movers advantage down south. But what happens is when there is a existing community which we interact with daily, And if you move in such areas, right, so that will give a long term sense of confidence on a particular CPO, that yeah, these are the guys who took the risks, and they came there. At least I'm not saying bring 100 chargers, like let us say every 250 kilometers, just a stretch of 1000 kilometers, or maybe something like that. I'm just giving a illustration. So that would work out to be truly having a very loyal user base in the long run.
No, makes complete sense, Sagar. Point taken. So let me just discuss this internally. I think we could take some steps on a pilot basis and see what we can do.
Thank you, Akhil. And also, I am a regular user at the new Thrissur, Meha Hub. So I'm seeing many Tiago or Punch users, like lower capacity users. They plug into the 180 kilowatt charger over there, which makes many higher capacity users who are using Mahindra vehicles and BYD seems to be frustrated over that. So a small feedback to have a small instruction to uh, pull up into the recommended charger. Like if your vehicle is only taking 50 kilowatts, please use that charger alone. That is my small feedback I would like to share with you.
Actually, Salva, we noticed this because uh, we actually put a lot of effort into that station. It's been a long time for us to get that station going. So once it went live, we started seeing all these this happening, the mismatch between the car and the charger. So we noticed this very early on, and unfortunately in Kerala with the discom, the only permanent way for us to solve this is to have like a high power dispenser where every car can the power is distributed among guns. But problem with the discom is that they are very kind of process oriented. We had to submit what chargers we are putting, what ratings we are putting, and if we had to change the chargers, even if they are not concerned with it, we have to take permission from them. So it works a bit differently in Kerala compared to the other states where we can do whatever we want with the chargers, right? The discom is only bothered about the power connection. But we are trying to get this sorted. We are trying to put in a high power uh, dispenser charger. So even if a punch comes in, the charger will allocate only, like let's say 25 or 30 or 40 kilowatt. I mean, if it's a new punch, it'll take 60. Balance of the power will be available for the cars that need more power. So it'll take us some time, but we'll get it fixed.
Absolutely, but Akhil, looking at the volumes that are anticipated, right? So I think I don't know. I don't want to comment on what Mahindra is doing with a fixed setup of 180, 180. That is good for their cars, but overall, I think dispensers are definitely a way forward. Be it 4 guns or 8 guns or 10 guns. So yeah, definitely what Selva is saying is, it will not hamper your other heavy utilizations such as a 9E or a Harrier EV, which are taking in more units.
Yeah, correct. But like I said, Sagar, the on-ground feedback from some customers is that they don't like the dispenser system because they want they don't want that uncertainty, right? If power gets shared suddenly, so they don't want that uncertainty. So we have to play a balance here, but we'll work it out.
So this session has gone much longer than I expected.
It's a record breaker. It's a record breaker for
three
Tesla Club of
three
India.
and 3.5 hour, and I expected it to last 1.5 hour. So Akhil, I think we may need to do this quarterly.
Very happy to do it, of course. Most, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm game.
So it has been awesome to listen to this, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. Yeah, well, I have to end this now. So yeah, thank you everyone, Sagar, Rakesh, and especially Akhil for coming to this, and yeah, for answering our questions and yeah, everything.
Thank you, Nikhil, for
Thank you,
hosting.
Akhil.
And finally, congrats, you drove a Tesla after all these years. So yeah, thanks for hosting.
Thank you, Akhil.
Great, I enjoyed
So
it.
now we know. Now I know at least that Akhil is from Zeon, so we'll keep bugging you.
Anytime, no problem.
Thank you, Akhil.
Thanks so much.
Thank you
and
so
Thank
much
you.
for giving all your time. Thank
No,
you.
absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.